Alcatraz in Florida. Additional new immigration detention facilities and expansions have also opened or are planned across the U.S. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The so-called ketamine queen is ready to plead guilty in actor and Friends star Matthew Perry's death.
Federal prosecutors say 42-year-old Jasmine Sangha supplied the ketamine that killed Perry in October of 2023. She will plead guilty to 5 counts, including maintaining a drug house, distributing ketamine, and distribution resulting in death. According to court documents, Sangha and co-defendant Eric Fleming sold Perry 51 vials of ketamine through his personal assistant, Kenneth Iwamasa, who repeatedly injected him with the drug. On October 28, 2023, Perry was given at least 3 shots that led to his fatal overdose. All those charged in the case have agreed to plea deals. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stock futures barely moving. They're mixed after a mixed Monday when the Dow dropped 34 and the NASDAQ gained 6. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right, installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you, and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for. For this free information, call 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, 800-422-1609, or simply visit godra.com.
Experience a luxurious summer when you visit Trump International Hotel and Towers Chicago, a Forbes Travel Guide 5-star hotel. Take in stunning views of the Chicago skyline from the heart of the city, steps away from the iconic Magnificent Mile and the revitalized Riverwalk. Treat yourself to exquisite dining at Terra 16 Restaurant and Rebar Lounge, overlooking the Chicago River and Lake Michigan. Catch the Navy Pier fireworks display from Terra 16's patio on Wednesdays and Saturdays all summer long. Relax in immaculately designed suites that offer the utmost level of comfort. Refresh in the state-of-the-art spa featuring a 75-foot swimming pool, steam and sauna rooms, relaxation lounge, and more. The Trump Hotel Chicago offers sophistication and elegance to downtown Chicago and is a convenient travel destination for your summer getaway. Simply visit Trump Chicago online to make your reservations today and search offers to find the never settle summer stay. Book today.
Rashaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way that have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dream to do.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Join John Anthony, host of Black and Right, for a cruise on Lake Michigan, Saturday, September 6th. Come aboard the luxury yacht Free Spirit for a fun afternoon with fellow AM 560 listeners. Enjoy great food and beverages and be a part of the live broadcast of Black and Right with John Anthony. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cruise. That's 560theanswer.com/cruise.
It's August 19th, and this is your Fox Deli Snapshot. Today is Potato Day. Potato chips, hash browns, baked potatoes, home fries, mashed potatoes, and tater tots. Just some of the ways to enjoy this vegetable that was first grown by the people in South America thousands of years ago. Also on this day in 2020, Apple becomes the first U.S. company to be valued at $2 trillion just 2 years after it reached $1 trillion valuation. The first ever joint military exercise between Russia and China called Peace Mission begins in 2005. Great Britain defeats France by 158 in the only cricket match ever held at the Summer Olympics in 1900. Born on this day in 1946, the 42nd President of the United States, Bill Clinton. Friends actor Matthew Perry, born in 1969.
Say, Ross, when you picture Phoebe living on the street, is she surrounded by the entire cast of Annie?
I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
It's more than a backyard. It's a place where lazy afternoons turn into lively evenings, and simple moments become lifelong memories. Right at the center of it all, your deck, the stage for your best moments in everyday magic. But the outdoors can be tough on wood. Fading colors, weathered boards, and hidden damage creeping in. That's why homeowners across Chicagoland trust Deck Tech. For over 35 years, they've specialized in cleaning, restoring, and protecting decks, keeping them strong, stunning, and ready for every season. Deck Tech now offers 0% financing options for 21 months. Give that special someone the break they deserve with a Deck Tech gift card. Call 800-956-DECK today or visit restoreyourdeck.com. Deck Tech, helping Chicagoland homeowners enjoy the great outdoors for over 35 years. Enjoy your deck all season long with Deck Tech, the clean and seal professionals.
1-800-956-DECK. Call Deck Tech.
Are you prepared for the Illinois estate tax? If your estate is worth over $4 million, your heirs could face a tax bill of up to 16% when you pass. Financial advisor Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions can show you ways to potentially reduce or even eliminate that burden. One strategy is to start gifting assets during your lifetime to lower the taxable value of your estate. Another option is setting up irrevocable trusts, which can shield wealth from estate taxes. Charitable donations and life insurance policies can also be smart tools to offset tax liabilities. Planning ahead, though, is key. Without a proper strategy, your family could be left paying more than they need to. Don't wait. Call Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions now to help protect what you've worked so hard for. 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
Perhaps you're a collector, or perhaps all of a sudden you have a collection. Maybe it's an inheritance. How do you know what it's worth? This is Sean Thompson for Donley Auction. The market for antiques and collectibles is changing all the time. What is your collection worth right now? Well, I've got an easy way to find out. It's simple. You contact Donley Auctions. With their worldwide audience of live and in-person auctions, they have a good idea of how to tell you exactly what it's worth at exactly right now. They're ready to put top dollar in your pocket. The bigger the collection, the better. Go to DonleyAuctions.com and get the info on all things that they buy and sell to have an idea of exactly what Donley does and how much they need your collection. They have so many buyers, it's a great time to sell. Just simply make a phone call. Donley has traveled all over the country to pick up collections. Just call and talk to the people at Donley Auctions at 815-923-7000. Donley Auctions is your trusted partner in turning your collections into cash. DonleyAuctions.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Hey AM 560 listeners, Jeff checking in again from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. What I learned serving our great nation in the military is that every mission is unique and success starts with listening. For nearly 20 years, our veteran-led house buying team has taken the time to understand what matters most to each homeowner we serve. Every home has a story, and every seller has different needs. Whether you want a quick closing or need extra time to find your next place, we customize our approach around what works best for you. That's how we've earned hundreds of 5-star Google reviews and an A+ rating with the BBB, by putting relationships first. No repairs needed, no cleanout required, and you pick the closing date that works best for your schedule. At JeffBuysYourHouse.com, we're here to help you through the entire transition, not just the transaction. Are you ready to work with a local team that takes the time to understand your home selling needs? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us today at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Bob Chivato, owner of Go Exceed and a customer of Signature Bank. By leveraging AI and machine learning, we provide data management solutions for corporations to save time and money managing their cellular devices. While we rely on machines to help us run our business, we believe personal relationships are essential. This is why we chose Signature Bank. Having a banking partner who understands our background, our business, and our priorities is fundamental to our success. Any bank can provide basic services, but having a bank that you can trust, one that looks out for you and treats your business like its own, that's irreplaceable.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call CrossCom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, CrossCom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with CrossCom.
Call CrossCom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call CrossCom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. CrossCom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call CrossCom.
CrossCom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with CrossCom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrossComPublicAdjusters.com.
What if the music stopped? If the familiar voices were silenced? If there were no breaking news updates? What if your companion and connection to your community came with a monthly fee? Don't worry, we're free local radio with you wherever you go, celebrating 100 years and looking forward to the next 100. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local TV and radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Want to see if you could pay less in taxes? Try the quick and easy tax calculator at willsave.com. Yes, a free tax calculator. That's WILSAVE.com. Calculate how you could keep more of your hard-earned money and give less to Uncle Sam, especially in retirement. Get your free tax analysis today at willsave.com. And don't forget to tune in to Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman every Saturday morning at 8, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal locally.
Hey, I'm Steve Wyatt, and I want to invite you to the Wyatt Matters show, which airs every Sunday on this station. You can expect lively discussion and heartfelt reflection that will both entertain and inspire you. And if we do it right, maybe deliver some genuine laughter as well. We talk about not only what matters, but also why it matters.
Wyatt Matters. Sunday morning at 6 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wealth Health Radio. The biggest fears that people have is, do I have enough money to retire?
Retirement doesn't have to be complicated.
To make sure that you're going through retirement with confidence.
Learn principles of income planning.
There's a lot of different facets that you need to take into consideration when you're retiring.
Tune into Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, noon to 1 p.m. Sundays on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. Since President Trump's victory, corporate America's had a vibe shift, and it's long overdue. DEI quotas getting rolled back. Debanking facing real pushback. Companies are waking up and getting back to business. JP Morgan Chase and Citigroup say no to politicized debanking. Target and IBM are backing off DEI. Even BlackRock, the ESG poster child, is rethinking its stance on energy and opening the door to conservative engagement. This is why elections matter. But what we do after elections matters even more. DEI and ESG aren't dead, but they are reeling. So here's the call. If you're a shareholder, speak up. Push for neutrality, push for accountability, and push for a market that works for everyone, not just the activists. I'm Jerry Boyer.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
The Dinesh D'Souza Podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
Probably heard, but you don't have to take your shoes off anymore when you go to the airport. This really shows you how stupid government bureaucracy is. One guy takes off his shoes, everybody freaks out, and then for 20 years, all the airlines across the country make tens of millions of people actually pull their shoes off.
Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a thunderstorm in spots early this morning. Otherwise, it'll be humid with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 80. Tonight will be mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 68. Tomorrow, anticipate humid conditions with clouds giving way to sunshine as temperatures peak at 78. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives, powered by Breakthrough Ideas, Sunday evening at 7 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and the 6 most dangerous words in the English language. Sort of a paraphrasing of Reagan, but the 6 most dangerous. Do you know who I am? The 6 words that should be stricken when combined together from the English language. Do you know who I am? We got another one. This time out of Rhode Island. So many classics, usually involving police. The Special Assistant Attorney General for the state of Rhode Island, a Karen named Devon Hogan Flanagan. She and a fellow Karen outside of some bar in Newport asked to leave because they're drunk and apparently disorderly. We don't see that on the body cam, the police body cam footage, but of course the police were called by the restaurant. They showed up. The restaurant wanted these people removed, and then this happened.
I want you to turn your body cam off. Protocol is that you turn it off. If a citizen requests it to turn it off, she's a lawyer.
So they want you guys to leave?
Yes, we're going to leave.
Let's just leave. Let's just make it easy, okay?
We're going to make it easy. That's not.
I am. Okay. I'm her husband.
That's not the point. Can you look at me?
Yeah, we'll talk over here, okay?
Your protocol is.
Can we all talk? Can we all talk? We'll talk over here. They want you to leave.
Your protocol is.
Can we talk? Who is she to you? What's that?
No,
Who is she
nothing.
to you?
Nothing.
She is our college friend. Okay. She's a friend. Yes.
No, I'm not.
You guys just want to know? Do you want them trespass? Anything we can do. Yeah. Trespass, yeah. I just need trespass. Get him out. Please.
Talking to the restaurateur.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Do we want to chat?
I know that your protocol is.
So you're trespass, or we got to leave now? Unless you want to be in
We're not trespassing. You haven't notified us that we're trespassing. Number one.
What
Number
did I just
two.
say to you?
You're number
Let's go.
one. Number one.
I don't
Number
want to
two.
arrest you guys.
You're not going to arrest us. Number two
So let's
is
leave.
that
We got to go. We got to go.
protocol
Let's go.
is
Let's
the
go.
citizen protocol is if we ask you to turn the body
I don't
cam
want to
off.
deal with this. Let's
Okay.
go.
No, I understand you don't want to deal with it, but the
let's go.
protocol is, and your protocol is you if I ask you to turn off the body cam, you have to turn it off, and that's your protocol.
She's a lawyer, so she knows.
Well, that's lawyer stuff, so that's not true. So we got to go.
No, it is. That's law.
I'm an
What'd you
AG.
say?
I'm an AG.
Good for you. I don't give a shit. Let's go. We're going. Let's go. We're leaving. We're leaving.
Please don't put your hands on us.
Can you get your children out of here? Like, I don't know why.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, no, you didn't.
No.
Let's go. Come on, they're two full-grown women and mothers of children. All right.
Oh, don't you dare call them children.
You just need to take. You just need to take.
I'm an AG. I'm an AG. I'm an AG. What's
wrong with you?
What are you probable cause to detain me for?
You're being detained because you're not leaving.
Because I'm what? You have
Can you relax? Sir, she's not doing anything wrong.
AG.
She's not leaving.
I'm an AG.
She's an AG? Buddy, you're not. She's not being arrested. Let's go.
I'm not being arrested. You're putting me in cuffs. I'm not being arrested.
Do you have any weapons on you?
No. I'm an AG.
Her badge is in the car. You want to go get a badge?
Let me tell you something. You're
Buddy,
arrested.
get the hell out of here. Buddy, just seriously.
You're arresting an AG. Let me tell you something.
Are you on arrest right now? No.
You're putting me in handcuffs and you're Mirandizing. You're not Mirandizing me.
Relax.
Buddy, you're gonna regret this.
Yeah.
You're gonna regret it. I'm an AG.
I'm an A. Door slam. 312-642-5600, turnkey.parental. It's one of those videos where a couple of things. One, you're thankful for police body cam video. So you can enjoy, that's the second. So you can enjoy this over and over and over again. These two dingbats get drunk at a bar restaurant in Newport. They are asked to leave by the restaurateur. They don't. You're an AG. Well, why don't you act like it then? Why don't you act like a professional or just an adult and leave if somebody asks you to leave? And the other thing about this, too, which is really interesting, everybody's focused on this BH AG who thinks she's something because she's an assistant AG. By the way, the Office of Rhode Island Attorney General Peter Norona is reviewing the arrest of a Special Assistant Attorney General by Newport Police. The office immediately began a review of the incident, which we will anticipate will conclude within the next few days. At this time, we are unable to comment further on this matter as it relates to personnel issues. Well, she should be fired, and it should take you a few minutes to review that 3 minutes worth of body cam footage and act accordingly. But the other interesting thing about this, in addition to police, were completely reasonable. I mean, they didn't just happen upon the place. They were called. Okay. You heard the exchange between police and the restaurateur. Yeah, whatever you can do, we need them to go, which is why we called, which is why you're here. But the husband, I guess it's the husband of Flanagan, the special assistant AG. And he's just like an innocent bystander. He doesn't like, hey, listen, honey, we're going. We have to go. Officer, sorry. I apologize. My wife and I and her dingbat college friend, we're leaving now. We're sorry for the disturbance. But instead, they get on their freaking high horse. They try to hi-hat the cop. I'm an AG. You're not going to arrest me. She winds up being arrested. If I request you turn off your body cam, then you have to turn it off. That's the law. She's a lawyer. No, it's not the law, actually. It's not the law in Rhode Island or most other jurisdictions, as far as I know. And I looked it up just to be sure. So she's so well versed in the law. The whole thing is so absurd. But it's these eunuchs. I mean, it's something like you would expect to happen at Fuller's house in downtown Hinsdale, or so many other venues, someplace in Oak Brook or downtown Naperville. First of all, the husbands are completely emasculated; they're geldings, and these boss girls with their badges and their important jobs and the attitude. The cops handle it brilliantly. And if you watch the video, you'll enjoy it as much as I did. Craig in Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey. Good morning, Dan. Thanks for taking my call, because this is such a perfect example of just what these rotten school system does to the kids, and then they grow up to be this. Well, no matter what your job is, if you're a
special assistant to the attorney, they grow up to be special assistants to some state agency, and then come over the top like they're untouchables. They're above the law, and they're going to tell some lowly public servant, cop or firefighter, whoever, what time it is. Exactly. It's a guy. Well, it's center cut.
Exactly right. And it is super purposeful. This is what this rotten demonic system and everything, because they grow up there. They never grow up. They can't hear no. You can't tell them no. You can't tell them no. You can't do this. You move. No. They're totally entitled and in charge and everything. What a good example, Dan. You are right, man. You picked out another good one.
Thanks for the call. I mean, I had to bring this in because it's just one of these instant classics, and I think they should be enjoyed by all and recalled by many. These names should live in infamy. This Devin Hogan Flanagan should live in infamy, right along with. Do you remember this? Going a little bit into the Wayback Machine. Ulster, New York County legislator Jennifer Schwartz-Berkey. Traffic stop for speeding, I think, if I recall. It doesn't matter. It's just a routine traffic stop that she turned into a protracted, absurd affair.
I work for the county, the county government. I'm a county legislator. I'm going to meet the consulate right now at the Maritime Museum.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I don't want to give you a ticket, are you?
I haven't decided yet.
I'm a completely broke public servant.
Okay. I mean, I haven't decided yet. I'm just looking for the documents.
Well, here's my card.
Okay.
I'm going to be late for the consulate.
It's okay. It's no reason to cry.
Well, no, it's my job, Councilman.
It's my job.
Just
be late for a local council.
And do you have the registration to the vehicle? You can have your card back there.
I hope I do. And then I have to go to the Ulster County SUNY Ulster graduation.
Okay.
And now I'm supposed to go home and pick up my son to go to these parties.
Okay.
Please don't give me a ticket. I'm broke. I'm completely broke.
Okay, if you just have
and if you tell people, it's going to hurt me.
Okay, well, I don't know.
I'm totally broke. I made $20,000 last year.
Okay.
Please don't give me a ticket.
Do you have the registration?
I can't afford to change my insurance. Please.
Okay, if you could just try to find the registration for me, I appreciate it.
Please. I'm begging you. I'm a very hardworking public servant. I'm a county legislator, and I'm trying to find a full-time job.
Okay.
If you do this, it's going to hurt me.
I understand.
It's going to hurt me really badly.
Yeah, I know. Anybody who gets running a red light or speeding ticket, whatever it was, they're unemployable.
Sorry, I'm having a panic attack.
You need medical attention? Would you like me to call you an ambulance?
I can't.
Okay, if you want to sit down, I can explain this to you, okay?
You begged me a ticket. I'm going to take you to the court because I have...
Ma'am, you have to calm down.
I have PTSD.
PTSD, there it is.
I'm going to protest this in court, and you're telling me that you singled me out. That's what you're telling me, right? And then everyone was going at the same pace, right? I drive on that road at 30 miles an hour all the time.
Are you going to listen to me, or
yes,
you?
I will listen to you.
Beware of those dedicated public servants on the roads or in favorite bars and eateries near you. Coming up at 5:38, we'll move on to more serious business. Zelensky and his European buddies at the White House. That's 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 72 degrees in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Bob Stevenson. A man died after coming into contact with the third rail of the CTA Red Lines State and Lake Station early yesterday morning. Police say it happened around 4:45 when the man went onto the tracks. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The incident caused Red Line trains to be rerouted for nearly 2 hours before normal service resumed. Chicago students headed back to class yesterday with buses rolling and parents snapping first-day photos. But the new year begins as CPS faces a $734 million deficit and ongoing clashes with City Hall and the Teachers Union. Parents say they're pushing through the uncertainty, working with schools to make sure kids have the resources they need. Parents at Whitney Young High School were notified after a gun was discovered during entry screening yesterday morning. The first day of classes for CPS Principal Ricky Harris said the weapon was immediately secured before entering the building and no threats were made. Police and CPS safety officials are investigating. Additional security was provided during dismissal. Harris assured families the school is prioritizing both safety and students' emotional well-being. This report is being sponsored by Payday. Hardworking people need a hardworking candy bar. Packed with peanuts and filled with golden caramel, Payday is definitely working hard for you. Grab one now to power you through the day. Payday Peanut Caramel Bar. Get to it. Check the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Shaunfest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/Shaunfest. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service and by myvirago.com.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're a different kind of wireless company dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Because let's face it, our needs are different. Big wireless unlimited plans are designed for 20-somethings, not us. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on one thing, bringing you affordable, reliable rate plans that suit your needs, not ours. How do we do that? We start by using the same towers as the big guys, the exact same towers. We then create rate plans designed for your usage. The fact is, we can offer you an unlimited plan with the same network quality for less because we understand how you use wireless services. Our plans start at just $20 a month. And forget trying to chat with robots. You'll get 100% US-based award-winning customer service when you need help. Come find out how wireless should be and join the millions who've made the switch.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect a morning thunderstorm in some areas, then remaining humid with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 80. Tonight will be mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 68. Tomorrow, anticipate more humidity with clouds giving way to sunshine and a high temperature of 78. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Jam Proft here. A little Kaja Gugu there. Too shy. I know Taylor Swift. I'm sure Jim Comey would agree. So everybody convened at the White House yesterday. You had leaders from European nations and importantly, the Secretary General of NATO, as well as, of course, Ukrainian President Zelensky. And he started off in a T-shirt. I know the fashion is a big deal here. Started off as a T-shirt, but by the time he had to sit down with President Trump, he was in something Johnny Cash would have respected, sort of this black-on-black suit. It did not go unnoticed. Brian Glenn, who is a reporter for Real America's Voice, one of those new media reporters that is now recognized by the White House as part of the legitimate press corps. Brian Glenn's also, interestingly, just as a quick aside, little sort of Sneed-esque inside the Beltway gossiping. He's Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend. Anyway, Brian Glenn is the one who called out Zelensky for not wearing a suit the last time he was at the White House when things didn't go as well as they did yesterday. And this time, plaudits for Zelensky's fashion, and he returned in kind.
First of all, Mr. President Zelensky, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, looks good.
I said to the one that attacked you last time. See, now I remember that.
I apologize to you. You look wonderful. No, my first question for you, President Zelensky.
In the same suit. You see, I changed you.
Maybe yours is much better.
Zelensky, I changed my suit. You're still in the same suit, Brian Glenn. You know, that famous Zelensky comedic timing. And thankfully, he didn't have to devolve into penile humor in order to land that bon mot. Anyway, on to more serious matters. Trump was asked about what the United States is willing to do in addition to the push for a trilateral meeting. Ultimately, that's the next step. You have to get Ukraine and Russia at the negotiating table together, and maybe with Trump brokering that discussion, facilitating it. But in the interim, and with no ceasefire, he was pressed by Steve Doocy and others, Peter Doocy, I was dad and son, Peter Doocy and others, to explain whether or not there will be more support for Ukraine in the interim until that trilateral meeting can happen and ultimately some sort of armistice is engineered. This is what he said, the president.
Well, I'll start off just by saying we're not giving anything now. We're selling weapons. This is something before, I guess the number is well over $300 billion. That was under Joe Biden, a corrupt politician, not a smart man, never was. By the way, go back 40 years, he was not a smart man 40 years ago either, but now he's in particular bad. This was done by a corrupt administration that shouldn't have been in, and frankly, if the right results of the election were given, if I were president, this war would have never taken place, and he would have been very happy because he would have liked to have seen. I mean, they went through hell. He went through hell. This war would have never happened, and the people that were killed, a couple of million people, a lot of people with soldiers and everything else, And the people that have been displaced and forced into other areas and other countries because of what's happened, none of that would have happened. And I'm just saying that he was a horrible president, whether it was the borders or this. He was just a horrible, corrupt president.
He was, and it bears repeating and reminding, so I'm glad he did. So that's a long way of saying, doesn't sound like any aid is coming Ukraine's way other than Europe buying weapons that will then wind up in Kyiv for Zelensky's use in the interim as this war rages on. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Although the important point here is sort of consistent with what you heard over the weekend and what we talked about yesterday from Steve Witkoff in particular, the president's special envoy, that there was a discussion between the president and Putin about security guarantees for Ukraine, not NATO membership, but sort of de facto NATO protection, something akin to the Article 5 one for all and all for one provision within the NATO charter. President Trump saying yesterday there is going to be a lot of help. They're the first line of defense because they're Europe, but we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved. The Europeans want to give protection. They feel strongly about it, and we'll help them out with that. So that's the first time the president has been explicit in saying, yes, we're going to be part of a security guarantee in terms of any further action by Russia if we can come to a deal here. And that should hopefully incentivize Putin to want to make a deal if there's any true basis per his self-interest in making a deal. So that's an important development. And the president also said that, this isn't his war, but he's trying to end it.
Look, this isn't my war. This is Joe Biden's war. He's the one that had a lot to do with this happening, and we want to get it ended. And we want it to end good for everybody. We want it to end good. The people of Ukraine have suffered incredibly.
And Marco Rubio just sort of added a little bit more color to those comments, particularly with respect to a security guarantee. He was on with Jesse Waters last night.
Look, any sovereign country in the world has a right to enter into security alliances with other countries. It's not just NATO. We have such alliances with South Korea. We have it with Japan. Other countries have it with each other. And so I think everyone would acknowledge, including, by the way, for the first time, the Russian side, under President Trump's sort of pressure or, a suggestion, is that, in fact, a Ukraine post-conflict has a right to enter into security agreements with other countries. And we will work with our European allies and non-European countries, by the way, to build such a security guarantee. We're working on that right now. We'll continue to work on that. And that'll be something that'll have to be in place after a peace deal, so that Ukraine can feel safe moving forward. And we're coordinating that as we speak. We're involved in the coordination of it. So, yeah, there are a number of countries that are willing to step forward and provide Ukraine security guarantees. But as the Ukrainians have said to us, and I think have said publicly, the strongest security guarantee they can come up with their future is to have a strong military moving forward. And that's the other dynamic that's changed. We're no longer giving Ukraine weapons. We're no longer giving Ukraine money. We are now selling them weapons, and European countries are paying for it through NATO. They are using NATO to buy the weapons and transfer them to Ukraine. That's another big change from the way this war was approached just under the Biden administration, for example.
A sea change. And it shouldn't be any surprise. It seems that the D.C. press corps was so surprised, pleasantly so, I suppose, that Trump made that pronouncement that the U.S. will be involved in the security deal and the security guarantees for Ukraine as part of any larger deal. But again, if you actually pay attention, when Trump inked that deal, that mineral deal with Ukraine, it sent the message to Putin, because it's substantively true, that the U.S. and Ukraine's economic interests are aligned, and you can expect us to defend our economic interests. So this is the culmination of that. That was setting the table, and now we're to this point. in terms of trying to make a deal that engenders peace. And I'll tell you what Marco Rubio described, what the president described yesterday, that's what America first, that's what a self-interested American foreign policy, that's what principled realism, the phrase he used to describe his foreign policy approach in the first term, this is what principled realism looks like. And interestingly, take note, because this isn't America alone. This isn't isolationism. This is America leading in service of its interests in collaboration with allies. So it's the America, the superpower, providing leadership within the geopolitical paradigm of America as the superpower, but in service of our country's interests, not anybody else's. It also is in service of other people's interests, Western Europe, our NATO allies, and Ukraine. But it's with, it's very Adam Smithian. It's with an eye towards our self-interest that we benefit others. And that's something the internationalists, the Council on Foreign Relations crowd, the previous regimes, Biden, the Joe Obama regimes in particular, didn't understand. George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, Dan, it's always so much fun to hear our president reminisce about our dumb and corrupt former president.
It is. It's important to make sure that the record is set. It's interesting, too. It's not just, MAGA or conservative talkers saying this about Trump and his leadership here. It's Mark Rutte, a Dutch politician turned UN Secretary General, who had this to say about Trump's previous criticism of NATO and how that did NATO some good.
His criticism of NATO was right. What he was saying is that the US is spending so much more on its defense and therefore spending on the collective defense of NATO territory than the Europeans. And the great thing is, and I think this is, and I hope the Americans see this, probably one of his biggest foreign policy successes of his president, of Trump 47, is that during the NATO summit, we committed collectively to this 5% spending, including 3.5% on the core defense spending. That's the same the US is spending. So now we are equalizing what the US is spending, what the Europeans are spending. And he has therefore taken a different view. He always said that he supported NATO, but he also expected the Europeans to pay up, to spend more. He has been successful in doing this. So today, the conversation was a conversation among friends, among close allies who respect each other, who like each other, who know each other very well, discussing how we can bring this terrible war to an end. And this is a goal we all have in common. And without President Trump, this deadlock with Putin would not have been broken. He was the only one who could do that, starting in February.
Boy, that's a lot different than you got from the Sunday talkies, right? Oh, he gave him a firm handshake and smiled and rolled out the red carpet and allowed him to ride along in the Beast and was just effusive in his praise. It was Helsinki 2.0. Funny, that's not what NATO is saying, per the Secretary General. That's not what our NATO allies are saying. Alex Stubb, the president of Finland.
I think in the past 2 weeks, we've probably had more progress in ending this war than we have in the past 3.5 years.
He was the only one that could have broken this deadlock with Putin to get people talking, which is sort of the predicate for peace. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And something else that Trump is doing here, there's no question he realizes the precarious position that Ukraine is in. I presume Zelensky does as well. He's just trying to put forward a brave face. I mean, you don't want to come to the table hat in hand with Putin. I get it. But the reality on the ground in Ukraine isn't great. And oh, by the way, there were a lot of people who had said for the last 3 years, most of the last 3 years, that this is ultimately where we're going to end up. And here we are. When everybody, as we talked about yesterday, was beating their chests and virtue signaling their Ukrainian flags. They're so committed. to everything except winning, to everything except good sense. And they now they're taking the posture of any sort of land swap or concession is precedent setting. Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation this week. Precedent setting. It will just encourage more bad behavior by bad actors. Well, Marge, this is where the policies of the last two administrations, last two Democrat administrations, have brought us, particularly the last administration. They essentially green-lighted this invasion through weakness and had Putin dig in through continued weakness, and now the cost has been paid for something approximating what he wants, and he's just going to turn around and about face and walk out of the country. Under what pressure? Under what threat? Do you want to send troops, American troops, to Eastern Europe? Marge? Which of your Democrat friends in the House or the Senate want to? Which of your friends that are posturing for the presidential nomination in that for that party in 2028 want to take that position? I don't hear it. Hollywood? All the deep foreign policy thinkers in Hollywood? Academia? I'm not hearing that. Completely unrealistic. No domestic support for that. So now what do? In the real world with 2 feet planted on the ground. Because here's the situation, as Bill Roggio from the Foundation of the Defense of Democracies explained on Fox yesterday. This is where things stand and who needs this deal.
The state of play is that the Russians have the initiative in this war. They're taking ground, albeit slowly, and they're winning the war of attrition.
President Trump, sir, your message.
Ukrainian military units are undermanned, and we saw a breakthrough just north of the city of Pokrovsk just over the last several weeks that demonstrate this. The Ukrainians have had to pull back some elite forces from other fronts in order to cover this gap and they have blunted this assault so far, but it puts other areas of the country at risk. The reality is that the Ukrainians need this deal. They need some type of ceasefire to reorganize their forces, to solve their recruitment issues, their manning issues, to train forces. Now, what Ukraine has to sacrifice to get that ceasefire, I suspect, is not palatable to the Ukrainian people or the Ukrainian leadership. It very likely, if not most definitely, will require some type of land swap. And I'm not sure that any Ukrainian government could survive ceding I believe it's around 5,000 square kilometers of territory to Russia. That seems to be what Putin is asking for. So Ukraine is in a real catch-22 here.
Yeah, a catch-22 to some extent of their own making and the United States' own making. Zelensky's own making in particular, when I say they, and I mean the Ukrainian people, Zelensky's own making, and the domestic politics he tried to play here with the previous administration. Mistake. Doing all those, glossy fashion mag spreads, pumping himself up as some sort of celebutant European leader. Mistake. And thinking that if he just kissed Lindsey Graham's ass long enough that he'd get bipartisan support for blank checks. Mistake. So the comedian has made a number of missteps in this, too. I know, dare anyone criticize Zelensky? Oh, heavens, no. He's George Washington, Douglas MacArthur, Hannibal, Rommel, Patton, every great military leader from world history all wrapped into one, right? I've heard from the D.C. press corps. Not convinced. But that's where it's at. And, oh, by the way, polling out yesterday, 70% of Ukrainians want a peace deal. Of course they do. Who doesn't want peace? Now, what they may or may not be willing to give up, yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road. We'll see. And this is not to take a soft position with respect to Putin. This is to say, as Marco Rubio had to explain to Martha Raddatz, to Marge Brennan over the weekend, what can we get done? What can people live with? Knowing it's not going to be anywhere near 100% of what you want. Either side. I mean, don't forget, if what the proponents of American intervention say about Putin is correct, that his dream is to reconstitute the old USSR and drop that Iron Curtain down again over Eastern Europe, well, that's not going to happen either. And he's not going to come close. And it doesn't sound from the reporting, I mean, not that he would propose this formally, but that there's any appetite for doing more than Eastern Ukraine, the administrative boundaries of the territory he largely controls, and agreeing that to stop there. And with the security guarantees and a rejuvenated NATO, thanks to Trump's leadership, by the way, that's what you do. You hold your friends accountable. You don't just run interference for them. Interesting. Oh, he's an embarrassment around the world, and the world is laughing at us. Doesn't sound like it. Not when you hear world leaders and the UN Secretary General talk about Trump and where things stand now and what he's accomplished here in terms of moving this process to possibility, the possibility in pursuit of peace. Coming up at 6:06, we'll turn our attention to the latest efforts to remove people who should be removed. It is 6 a.m. at AM 560 WIND.
Will the leaders of two countries at war finally meet? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
It's going to require both sides to receive, but also to give. In essence, one side's not going to get 100% here. Each side is going to have to make some concessions.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Fox after Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky had a White House meeting that was not contentious, like in February, and was joined by other European leaders days after President Trump's summit in Alaska with Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
Important discussions as we work to end the killing and stop the war in Ukraine. We're all working for the same goal, very simple goal. We want to stop the killing.
The next steps will be a bilateral meeting between Zelensky and Putin, followed by a trilateral meeting that includes President Trump. Now, the president immediately called Putin to begin setting that up. The deal that's emerging would likely require Ukraine to cede some land to Russia, and in exchange, Ukraine would get a commitment of protection from the U.S. and European allies. The Wall Street Journal is reporting this morning that Zelensky is open to the idea of what they're calling proportional land swaps with Russia.
Fox's Doug Luzader. North Korea's leader is angry over U.S. and South Korean military drills, warning they could ignite a war. Kim Jong-un also vowed to expand his nuclear arsenal. Hurricane Erin remains a Category 3 storm, and though it's forecast to move away from the U.S., Fox meteorologist Janice Dean tells us it's going to grow.
Even though the storm is not going to make landfall, it's so big, we're still going to feel tropical storm impacts as well as strong rip currents, huge waves. It's going to be, really dangerous to go out in the water along the East Coast over the next few days.
Fox meteorologist Janice Dean again. Flooding concerns have led to mandatory evacuation orders in North Carolina's Outer Banks. Air Canada getting ready to fly again after working out a tentative agreement to end a flight attendant strike that's grounded flights since Saturday. Air Canada hopes to resume service this evening. America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It's 73 degrees in Chicago and AM 560 The Answer. I'm Bob Stevenson. Construction is officially underway on O'Hare's $8.2 billion expansion. Crews broke ground on the new Concourse D. That'll add 19 gates and a massive atrium by 2028. The project is part of a broader overhaul, including a new global terminal and more concourses. City leaders call it key to modernizing one of Chicago's busiest economic engines. Weeks after July's torrential rains flooded parts of Chicago, FEMA teams joined city, county, and state officials in Garfield Ridge this week to survey storm damage. Crews went door to door, collecting information as part of a preliminary assessment needed before the state can request federal disaster aid. Residents say water backed up into their basements when sewers overflowed. Officials stress these surveys both possible relief and finding long-term flood prevention solutions. Chicago students headed back to class yesterday. Buses rolled and parents snapped first-day photos. The new year begins as CPS faces a $734 million deficit and ongoing clashes with City Hall and the Teachers Union. Parents say they're pushing through the uncertainty, working with schools to make sure kids have the resources they need. Former Robbins acting police chief Carl Scott pleaded guilty to battery charges yesterday. A judge sentenced him to 2 years probation, ordered anger management, and revoked his law enforcement certificate. Prosecutors say Scott punched a man last year who was filming inside the station. He later resigned before the mayor could fire him. And a man died after coming into contact with the third rail at CTA Red Line State and Lake Station early yesterday morning. The incident caused Red Line trains to be rerouted for nearly 2 hours before normal service resumed. This news is a service of Fox Valley Coins. It's a great time to bring in your scrap gold jewelry and sterling flatware. Cash your check offered on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Shaunfest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/Shaunfest. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service and by myvirago.com. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
When it comes to industrial coating and finishing, cutting corners isn't an option. That's why leading manufacturers across the Midwest trust D&D Industrial Coatings in Racine, Wisconsin. From powder coating and liquid painting to blasting and custom finishing, D&D Industrial delivers top-tier protection and performance, fast, precise, and built to last. With over 40 years of experience, ISO-certified processes, and state-of-the-art lines, D&D handles everything from OEMs and petrochemical to agriculture, marine, construction, medical, and government specs. Family-owned, nationally trusted. Whether it's a short run or high volume, your parts are in expert hands, finished on time and finished right. Visit them today, ddindustrial.net. Again, that's ddindustrial.net. Or call them at 262-637-0686 to get your custom quote today. Again, that's 262-637-0686. D&D Industrial Coatings. Engineered to protect. Finished to impress.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
That shot was money, Lisa. Hey, speaking of, did you ever figure out what to do with your parents' old coin collection?
Not yet. I need a reputable dealer to appraise them. I have no clue what they're worth.
I just finished working on my dad's estate collections. I took it all to Fox Valley Coins. Their customer service was the best. Plus, they're super honest and reputable, but most importantly, experienced. They'll give you the best prices.
Really? They handle estate collections?
Absolutely. Buying, selling, appraising, they do it all. It was quick and simple, and we maintained our privacy. Fox Valley Coins made the whole process easy.
That's exactly what I need. Are they local?
Right in Naperville. They have an easy website to remember. FoxValleyCoins.com.
Perfect. Now let's see if you can return this shot.
Whether buying or selling or just want valuation, Fox Valley Coins is your trusted gold and silver dealer. Visit Fox Valley Coins, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. FoxValleyCoins.com. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Take
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. On the Edens inbound, Lake Cook to Montrose, a 14-minute travel time. Same story, 14 minutes, Edens outbound, Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound, O'Hare to Byrne Interchange, 20 minutes, a 24-minute travel time. Kennedy outbound, Byrne Interchange to O'Hare. Eisenhower inbound, Jane Addams to Old Post Office, 45 minutes, a 37-minute travel time. Eisenhower outbound, Old Post Office to Jane Addams. On the outbound, Eisenhower Damon to Western Avenue. Your two right lanes have high standing water. 28 minutes on the Stevenson inbound, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. On the reverse trip outbound Stevenson, Lakeshore Drive to 355, 18 minutes. Dan Ryan inbound, you're looking at a 15-minute ride, 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com. Make smiles great again. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today, expect a thunderstorm in spots early this morning. Otherwise, it'll be humid with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 80. Tonight will be mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 68. Tomorrow, anticipate humid conditions with clouds giving way to sunshine as temperatures peak at 78. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Health Quest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba. Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. You remember it? Do you remember 1994? When Reverend Scott and Janet Willis were driving their children in their van on an Illinois expressway. And Ricardo Guzman was also driving on that expressway. Ricardo Guzman, who had illegally obtained a commercial driver's license by bribing a Secretary of State official. Ricardo Guzman, who was in this country illegally. Ricardo Guzman, who didn't understand English. So he didn't understand when drivers were warning him that his taillight assembly was about to fall off. Wisconsin State Police reported that numerous motorists tried to warn Guzman. Joe Power, the attorney for the Willis family at the time, the piece was hanging off the side, and motorists and truckers were beeping at him, motioning to him, telling him to get off the road, that the piece was ready to break off. They were trying to call him on their walkie-talkies. If he didn't understand English, it's an obvious reason why he didn't understand what they were saying. And when that tail light assembly broke off and pierced the gas tank of the Willis family van, 6 children of Scott and Janet Willis were burned alive. And Scott and Janet Willis were also burned, injured, trying to save them. Does that make border security a little bit more of a concrete issue to you? For all you sanctuary city, state proponents, you BLM Brandon and Jelly Belly Pritzker rationalizers. Does that bring it home? Well, I guess we're going to find out if we have spirited contests for those offices in the coming years. Because, of course, it's happening again. It happened on a turnpike in Florida the other day, as I'm sure you've heard about. 28-year-old illegal immigrant from India facing 3 counts of negligent vehicular manslaughter and now deportation after causing a horrific crash on a Florida turnpike in Fort Pierce. This guy, if you've seen the video, there's video of this one. He tried to make a U-turn in the middle of an expressway with a tractor trailer, an 18-wheeler. So he turns to make this U-turn, and the trailer is across all three lanes, and then you see a minivan come smashing into the trailer, and the three occupants in that minivan were killed. The 28-year-old illegal immigrant from India crossed the U.S. through San Ysidro, California in 2018, was arrested by Border Patrol 2 years later, not deported. He's had pending immigrant proceedings since 2018. He obtained a commercial driver's license in Gavin Newsom's California illegally. He was arrested in 2018 at the border, released on $5,000 immigration bond. He claimed asylum that he feared going back to India, feared persecution. According to Homeland Security, does not have any physical or medical condition, has no known immediate relatives serving the U.S. military, is not the primary caretaker of a person with a mental or physical disability, or a minor, or a person with a serious illness. There's also no indication why he would fear returning to India, what he has to fear in terms of religious or political persecution, which is the standard for asylum seekers. But that standard was out the door under the previous administration and is out the door in sanctuary states and sanctuary cities governed by politicians like Patrick Bateman in California or Jelly Belly here. So he's an asylum seeker. Yeah? What's his claim? The bastardization of our asylum system, taking advantage of Americans' good nature to say, yes, if somebody is fleeing religious or political persecution, we have provided in law their opportunity to seek asylum in this country because we don't want people persecuted for their political or religious beliefs. That's a beautiful thing. And taking advantage of that goodwill is a very ugly thing. And it turns out a very deadly thing when we turn a blind eye to people gaming the system. It's just one of these things where you just struggle to make it concrete to people. You struggle to bring it home, no matter how many young people are murdered, intentionally or unintentionally, no matter how many Americans and, frankly, other migrants are violated by predators. Many gruesome stories you tell of preventable crimes. I don't know what it takes to penetrate the consciousness. In point of fact, actually, it has nationally, such that now a supermajority of Americans say, remove everyone here illegally. So that's what all of these open borders, pathologically empathetic types have done, is they've swung the pendulum so far the other way that now I don't even want to hear it. And I understand that sentiment. I don't even want to hear it about Dreamers or anybody else, which is what I've said for years. If you aren't serious about removing people that are public safety threats, and if you want to conflate removing people that are public safety threats, it just categorize them all as asylum seekers and migrants and the huddled masses, then forget it. There's nothing to talk about. Everybody goes. Because you're unreasonable and have now moved into the realm of unkindness, you're forcing me to take as hard a line as is available under the law. And that's what I'll do. These sanctuary states and sanctuary cities, I mean, it's such an affront. It is so wildly and openly scornful of people who live in this country and play by the rules. And then have to deal not only with predators, but a predatory government that sponsors them. In 1994, that terrible accident happened that took the lives of 6 Willis children. 30 years ago. And here we are still talking about the same thing, the same types of incidents. How frustrating is that? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. And not just one-offs. Not just sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. We're still talking about licenses for bribes. George Ryan style. A former clerk at a Kentucky driver's license branch said coworkers sold illegal immigrants driver's licenses they could not legally obtain, charging $200 per license. Melissa Moorman is the whistleblower, and she was fired for blowing the whistle. Well, now the local press in Louisville has gotten wind of this, and we'll see how it works out. But here's the story with some color from Miss Moorman. Do we have her?
Paid underneath the table.
They say sometimes
I immediately let my supervisor know about it.
truth hurts.
Did you ever think that this would cost you your job?
No.
And for Melissa Moorman,
I was angry for a long time.
this is one of those.
It hurts me that I'm talking about this and I actually like where I was working at.
Times.
I came into the office that day, my computer was shut down. I was told to go to the front door. Detectives came in, they interviewed me. That was it.
Moorman says she was fired 3 months after she sent this letter to the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, blowing the whistle that workers at the NIA Center licensing branch were selling driver's licenses under the table to people who never took the driver's test.
Undocumented workers.
How did it work? What was going on?
The undocumented workers would come into the office in groups. They would provide them either permits or driver's license illegally. So they were bypassed without even taking the test.
How much?
$200 a person.
Up to 5 times a day, she says.
Was this an everyday thing?
Almost, yes.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. Corey Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. You know, I don't understand the hive mind of these politicians that they assume bringing in all of these illegals are going to make their communities better. Instead of changing their policies, making it better for the citizens to stay and to grow businesses and to grow their families here, they do the exact opposite. And I don't think it's going to work for the current slate of politicians either. Just ask Tony Folks. I mean, she got out of her ward because she was basically phased out by the incoming individuals. She went to another ward and ran. This doesn't make any sense. They're literally stabbing themselves in the chest, and I don't understand for what.
Well, I mean, the for what is political power. The for what is people in this country illegally will count them for census purposes. We'll put a tourniquet on the hemorrhaging of population in places like Illinois and New York and California. So we don't lose political power by continuing to lose members of Congress in terms of the aggregate number of Congress-humans that we can send to Washington. That Yvette Clarke from New York said it very nicely several months back. I need these people coming into this country for the purposes of, my district's population. Don't want to lose my district. Don't want to see my district get eliminated. And if we make them state dependents, no more reliable vote for big government than someone who's dependent on it. That's why. So if their maintenance of their political power comes at the expense of your life or the life of a loved one, well, you're going to break a few eggs making an omelet. That's the attitude. And it's simple as that because they're not complicated people. They're simple people with big appetites. Harry in Holly, Michigan.
Hi, good morning, Dan. We're constantly talking about sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, etc. And my historical recall is that this began back in Berkeley, California. But the question that I always want to ask is, have the citizens for these cities ever had the opportunity to vote for that sanctuary city status? Or is this just something that's continued to be crammed through and we spend money on?
Well, I mean, they voted through the choices they made for their elected representatives. I mean, you know, the sanctuary city, sanctuary state, this is all done by legislation. There was an effort, you remember, a few months back by Alderman Ray Lopez and others to put the sanctuary city ordinance at the Chicago level back up for a council vote, and that was quashed. So it's all been done by legislative action and, you know, and executive action.
So how do we go about getting this on a ballot? What type of process would be there to get this to be voted on by the actual citizens?
Well, I mean, I think that's, first of all, it depends state by state. I mean, you know, California does referenda that have the impact of legislation, but Illinois, you know, really doesn't. It's, you know, sort of advisory, and there's signature requirements, and you put it up for a vote, and then that triggers potential legislative action. So, I mean, other than doing it sort of a constitutional amendment type of thing that you can do, but I mean, you know, the thresholds are very high to get anything done by popular ballot as opposed to legislation. So it's just difficult to do that. In most states, like Illinois, you have to elect better people that will make better policy choices. In most places.
And as you mentioned with the power, though, it's very difficult to get those moved out. So you're right on there. So thank you.
Thanks, Harry. Robert, Oak Park.
Yes, Dan. Thank you so much for your intuition. Thank you so much. Just trying times are right now. I remember the death of the Christian ministry people with that illegal immigrant.
All right, thanks for the call, Robert. Appreciate it. David in Winnetka.
Dan, hey, good morning. You know, that clip that you speak of with the Indian immigrant and the horrific accident, the most chilling and shocking thing about that is his reaction to the whole thing of just so nonchalant, like, oh, he looks out his rearview mirror and you can see a family's clearly has just all lost their lives. And his look on his face like, well, let's go have some lunch. And the trucking company that let this take place, I mean, they've got to be hit so hard with such a message of enough of this. You know, I recommend public hanging. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if I go that far, but I mean, he's charged with 3 counts of vehicular manslaughter. You're right about the trucking company. I mean, that should be tracked. That should be tracked. But you know. The flip side is, what about the state? The state that granted him a CDL license that he should have never had. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the trucking industry does as a matter of course in terms of, I've got a CDL license. Do you prove up their ability to drive a truck? I don't know how rigorous that is. The flip side is just the judgment call. I mean, what are you thinking? You're on an expressway, you're on a turnpike, and you're going to try to do a U-turn in an 18-wheeler? Incredible. Other stories, just sort of spanning the country. As I've said, every time we do this sort of wrap-up discussion of the impact du jour of open borders, 49-year-old illegal immigrant from Lebanon has had an ICE detainer filed against him following his arrest earlier in August for sexually assaulting a female passenger in his vehicle while working as an Uber driver. Illegal immigrant from Lebanon, Uber driver in Texas. Somebody else that probably shouldn't have a driver's license. Not probably. And so shouldn't be working for Uber so that he can sexually assault a young woman that he's taking home. Hey, Guatemala National released on his own recognizance after selling THC gummies that caused the hospitalization of a dozen New York middle schoolers in March. 12 students from William Floyd Middle School brought to the Peconic Bay Hospital on the same day. They became ill after eating gummies laced with THC. Brought to you by this Guatemala national who was ROR'd by a New York judge. I mean, I don't know when we're going to get to the Howard Beale moment. Maybe this will do it. We'll talk about this with Ted Dabrowski a little bit at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. Let's bring it home to Illinois again. On Friday, Jelly Belly signed a law that guarantees undocumented students in Illinois have access to student financial aid. In-state tuition wasn't enough. Financial aid for the in-state tuition. Subsidize the subsidized with more subsidies. Financial aid accessible to all Illinois residents, as the good state senator Villanueva from Chicago said. If you live in Illinois and are pursuing higher education, you should have access to the same opportunities as your peers. This is about making sure no student is left behind because of where they were born. Yeah. Exactly. Anybody who wants to pursue higher education from anywhere in the world should come anytime they want, under any circumstances, so they can go to college in Illinois and have me and you and everybody else subsidize it. Yeah. Right. Nick, Northwest Side.
Yeah, thank you. I want to comment on two things. Number one, as a citizen, when people come in, and I worked my whole life and retired now, when people come in, of course, they have to be checked carefully. Not that they're going to be working right away the next day, but eventually they'll be able to work and be productive and don't have criminal backgrounds. The Biden administration and the Democrats obviously didn't care. They just want to get a whole bunch of bodies in it because eventually a lot of these people will be voting Democratic. And then as a retired truck driver, I predicted, I'm retired 12 years, I predicted when I retired, you're going to see trucks flipping over, and for several years, maybe 10 years, like every week, there's a truck flipping over because I've seen the kind of people coming in. And I remember that one case, this will be the last thing, that a sting operation by the FBI of a truck company owner and of a person working in the Secretary of State's office. The guy at the truck company, or not truck company, truck driving school, he gets a call from the lady at the Secretary of State that says, "Hey, you know that guy you sent me? Yeah, he's a bad driver. Yeah, I know, and he's also dangerous. Yeah, I know. I'll need another $25 to pass him." Okay, and that was that. So of course the guy didn't get his license, but anyhow, that's it. And thank you for being there for us. You do a great job representing our interests. Bye.
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, license for bribes. And people say, George Ryan, he never took any money. What a joke. Then after all of this, you still have people that rally to the defense of these craven and corrupt politicians, both parties. When does that Howard Beale moment, it's come to a lot of the rest of the country. When does it, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore. When does that come here? Tim Woodstock.
Hi, good morning, Dan. I just kind of wanted to tie this to James Comey's weird little rant yesterday about, the goodness of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And how mean we are, mean conservatives and mean Republicans. The left is mean. Their policies are mean, and they're disguised as kindness, and that's what the really sick part of it is. Their policies result in being mean toward the good innocent citizens harmed by people here illegally, and we're the mean ones for trying to enforce the law. For, as you pointed out, trying to clean up the mess. Now we're the mean ones, but their policies are mean. Everything from giving money to putting the Taliban back in power, from giving money back to Iran, to abortion to, making it possible for minors to transition more easily. All these things are really, in my mind, they're evil masks of kindness.
Thanks for the call.
And so I really, yeah.
Thanks for the call, Tim. Appreciate it. And Tim, this goes right out to you. I think we could learn a lot from Jim Comey and, of course, Taylor Swift. So powerful. Let's check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 71 degrees in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Bob Stevenson. Construction finally underway at O'Hare's $8.2 billion expansion. Crews broke ground on the new Concourse D. That's going to add 19 gates and a massive atrium by 2028. Project's part of a broader overhaul, includes a new global terminal and some more concourses. City leaders call it key to modernizing one of Chicago's biggest economic engines. Well, Chicago students headed back to class yesterday morning. Parents snapped first-day photos. You probably have seen some of them on the internet. But the new year begins as CPS faces a $734 million deficit. Now, there was some scary moments yesterday as parents at Whitney Young High School were notified that a gun was discovered on campus during entry screening Monday morning. Principal Ricky Harris said the weapon was immediately secured before it entered the building. No threats were made. Police and CPS safety officials are still investigating, and they say additional security was provided. This news is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it is possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. We have a check of your roadways coming up in just 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Larry Elder sees a great move from the president.
And so Trump is trying to figure out a way that we can defy history and retain the majority of Republican members in this midterm when historically the presidential party loses seats in the midterm. So Trump's trying to reverse that and thinking outside the box. I'm impressed. And if the shoe were on the other foot, certainly the Democrats will be doing the same thing.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's more than a backyard. It's a place where lazy afternoons turn into lively evenings, and simple moments become lifelong memories. Right at the center of it all, you deck. The stage for your best moments and everyday magic. But the outdoors can be tough on wood. Fading colors, weathered boards, and hidden damage creeping in. That's why homeowners across Chicagoland trust Deck Tech. For over 35 years, they've specialized in cleaning, restoring, and protecting decks, keeping them strong, stunning, and ready for every season. Deck Tech now offers 0% financing options for 21 months. Give that special someone the break they deserve with a Deck Tech gift card. Call 800-956-DECK today or visit restoreyourdeck.com. Deck Tech, helping Chicagoland homeowners enjoy the great outdoors for over 35 years. Enjoy your deck all season long with Deck Tech, the clean and seal professionals.
1-800-956-DECK. Call Deck Tech. I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You probably know I help business owners fight back against the IRS, but did you know I can help with state taxes too? Right now, Illinois is about to open a rare tax amnesty program. For a short window of time, you can pay certain back taxes and have the state wipe out the penalties and interest, no strings attached. But here's the thing, once that window closes, the chance to save is gone. The Illinois Department of Revenue will announce the exact start date and requirements any day now. When they do, the clock will start ticking. Go to fightbacknow.com and sign up for my daily email. I'll give you clear updates the moment news breaks, walk you through exactly what you need to do, and help you avoid mistakes that can cost you thousands. Don't get caught off guard. When the state offers a deal like this, you have to move quickly. Go now to fightbacknow.com and get on the list, because when the clock runs out, so does your opportunity to wipe out those extra charges and save big. That's fightbacknow.com.
Everybody is keeping an eye on the Fed and how an interest rate cut might affect gold prices. Gold has been hovering at around $3,400 an ounce for the last 2 months and is poised for dramatic growth with the next interest rate cut. When rates go down, returns on bonds follow, and that's why gold continues to be the safe haven asset of choice for smart investors. Are you protected? Don't wait until it's too late to profit from the back and forth from the Fed on interest rates. Right now, if you have a qualified IRA or 401k, you could receive up to $10,000 in free gold and silver when you open your retirement account with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now or visit AdvantageGold.com and get your free gold IRA guide and find out how much bonus gold you qualify for. Call 800-900-8000 to qualify for your free $10,000 precious metals bonus when you open your qualified gold IRA with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now. Performance may vary. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Call 800-900-8000.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic and service at Blindster.com on the Edens inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, 15 minutes. 14 minutes on the outbound Edens Montrose to Lake Cook. On the inbound Kennedy O'Hare to Burn Interchange, 28 minutes. 29 minutes on the Kennedy outbound Burn Interchange to O'Hare. On the Eisenhower inbound Jane Addams to Old Post Office, a 31-minute ride. A rollover crash, Eisenhower outbound after the Burn Interchange has you parked coming from the Dan Ryan. On the Eisenhower outbound Old Post Office of Jane Addams, 42 minutes. A 31-minute ride on the Stevenson inbound, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. And the Lakeshore Drive to 355 on the Stevenson outbound, 16 minutes. Dan Ryan inbound, 95th to Burn Interchange, 17 minutes. What if they can guarantee the price of Bitcoin will be $1 million in 2030? Well, they can't, but they can guarantee you'll save a lot of money on blinds at their company, Blindster.com. Free samples, free shipping, and guaranteed to fit. Shop at Blindster.com today. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now, here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today, expect a morning thunderstorm in some areas, then remaining humid with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 80. Tonight will be mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 68. Tomorrow, anticipate more humidity with clouds giving way to sunshine and a high temperature of 78. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and Zelensky and our European allies represented at the White House yesterday. All of them, they got to see an iconic painting of Trump's fight, fight, fight moment at Butler, Pennsylvania. That was interesting, especially when Trump pointed to it and just said, yeah, that was not a great day. Slightly understated. A little gallows humor there. Lighten the mood. On the substance of the matter, after this confab yesterday, the next step is for a trilateral meeting. Russia, Ukraine, the West generally, probably as represented by the United States. And Zelensky's ready for that trilateral meeting.
No, we don't have any date. We don't have any date. We just confirmed after this productive meeting with the president and then with all our colleagues, with the partners, we confirmed that we are ready for a trilateral meeting. And if Russia proposed to President of the United States bilateral, and then we will see the result of bilateral, and then it can be the trilateral. So I said always, so Ukraine will never stop on the way to peace, and we are ready for any kind of formats, but on the level of leaders.
And the reason, in part, it was a productive meeting is because Trump said explicitly, I'm quoting him, there's going to be a lot of help. They are first line of defense because they're Europe, but we're going to help them out also. We'll be involved. The Europeans want to give protection. They feel very strongly about that, and we'll help them out with that. And it's interesting, the plaudits that President Trump received from people that were, according to the D.C. press corps, allegedly supposed to be embarrassing ourselves before and fraying these key relationships. Didn't sound like that. Mark Rutte, who is the Secretary General of NATO, had this to say to open the conversation with President Trump.
I really want to thank you, President of the United States, dear Donald, for the fact that you, as I said before, broke the deadlock with President Putin by starting that dialogue. And I think it was in February that you had the first phone call. And from there, we are now where we are today. And that is, I think, if we play this well, we could end this. And we have to end this. We have to stop the killing. We have to stop the destruction of Ukraine's infrastructure. It is a terrible war. So I'm really excited.
Mm-hmm. But Trump understands the kind of coverage he's going to get no matter what he does. And the accusations that will fly and the cheap insinuations. We're still getting Russiagate level insinuations about him being some sort of Putin toady. It's pretty pathetic. But he gets it. Doesn't matter. Always forward.
I said that if in the settlement you got Moscow, St. Petersburg, and thousands of miles around them, they would say I made a bad deal. The level of hatred and animosity is incredible. Not with all. I mean, we have great people up here. We also have terrible people up there that I think are told what to say. But, you know, in solving all of these wars, they don't even write about it. You know, I saw major wars. I saw wars that have been going on for 31, 35, and 37, and a couple of quicker ones. One that was going to go into a full-blown deal very quickly. You know what the one I'm talking about. It was a big one. But they don't even write about that. No matter what I do, no matter what, and you know, this is not anything to do with you. It's probably to your advantage in a certain way. But no matter what I do, no matter what deal I make, from my standpoint, you'll come out good. Maybe President Putin will come out good. But they'll say Trump was absolutely horrible. It's just that, and I've lived with that for a long time. I've lived with it since just before the first election. I used to get great publicity. Now I get the worst publicity anyone's ever gotten in office, but I won in a landslide, so that people understand. They're the only ones that count, ultimately.
Mark Penn, Hillary Clinton's former pollster, posting on X, from what I can see, nearly 1 million people have died in the Ukraine war, and Biden was unable to even attend G7 meetings without embarrassing the country. In contrast, Trump is pulling off unprecedented diplomatic feats to advance serious negotiations that have a reasonable chance of being successful, and the press coverage of it has been ludicrous. If Obama had pulled off these meetings, it would be hailed as a tour de force rather than the downplaying and naysaying every move we see in the press. He may or may not be successful, but it is an incredible effort that should be respected and applauded, and for people involved, a new hope for designing a lasting peace with real enforcement, unlike the previous empty security guarantees. Mm-hmm. For more on this, pleased to be joined by Justin Logan, the Director of Defense and Foreign Policy Studies at the Cato Institute. Justin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
What say you with respect to these efforts and the way they've been executed by Trump in the last couple of days?
Yeah, you heard one of the European leaders there yesterday say that they've made more progress in the last few days than they have in the previous 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And I think, Trump is driven. He thinks, he's said it 1,000 times. He thinks this is a stupid war, a war that never should have happened, and he wants it to stop. His second inaugural address, he talked about how he wants to be viewed as a peacemaker. We'll judge ourselves not just by the wars we end, but by the wars we never get into. And so he's going hard on this. As ever, and this is every think tank dork across the land has to say this, the devil's in the details, right? These are really tough issues. Security guarantees are going to be tough to iron out in a way that satisfies both Ukraine and Russia. And this question of the territory that Russia holds in Ukraine is also a very thorny problem. But, I think it's very difficult to say, well, many people have, that the president is not, coming from the right place in terms of trying to end the war.
Right. And I mean, and to his point, I mean, he's the first one to say it. So oftentimes he doesn't get the credit, but you can understand why he has to point it out, because he doesn't feel like there's the appreciation that should be there, and not even just appreciation, just like at least just tell people, who I am based on what I've actually done. not what I'm saying, like most politicians, but based on what I've actually been a part of doing in terms of, I really want peace. I really don't like seeing people kill each other anywhere in the world. And so, he made a reference to Israel and Iran, Armenia and Azerbaijan, Rwanda and Congo, India and Pakistan. I mean, there are a number of conflicts in which America has interceded under Trump diplomatically that have moved in a positive direction. Again, to your point, and to the point of all the think tank dorks. The devil is always in the details and the execution and the sustainability and all of those things, because it's the relations between countries are complicated. But in terms of what he consistently has done, it has been in that direction. Peace.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and you saw the sort of goalpost shift, right? I was, doing press in the lead up to the Alaska summit, and then at midnight after the Alaska summit on the East Coast. And, the initial thing was he's going to sell the Ukrainians out to Putin. And he didn't sell the Ukrainians out to Putin. And then we were treated to, Putin got to walk on a red carpet in Alaska.
Yeah, right.
And so you got to pick an argument to me. And so, again, I think it's very possible that we may go through a lot of these, interviews and a lot of discussion of a lot of meetings and come up with nothing.
Yep.
These are really hard issues, right? You have to be realistic about the prospects here. But the man is trying. He's not doing anything untoward. So let's cross our fingers and hope and pray that, we get something done. And you heard even Zelensky yesterday, who has had a very maximal, understandably so, diplomatic posture, saying, we're making progress. So let's keep grinding, right? We've thrown hundreds of billions of dollars in 3.5 years into the military effort. Let's put a little bit of shoulder into the diplomacy.
Well, and the expectations game. I thought, like Rubio in particular, and Trump has said the same over the weekend. Look, maybe it doesn't amount to anything, but there is some progress being made. We're in conversation. What can we do other than try to build on what Putin says he's open to, like some sort of, Article 5 modeled language with respect to security guarantees, and then start arguing about territorial lines and so forth. But what else can we do? I mean, as you say, now you want to say our expectation should be that Putin is without, secondary sanctions. If you just impose secondary sanctions, then Putin is going to turn tail and immediately withdraw, and everything will be pre-invasion overnight. I mean, that's silly. All it will do, most likely, is dig in further, because the costs Putin has paid already are way too high for him to just sort of turn tail and run. But you have people, Hillary Clinton, Margaret Brennan, talking about you can't set a precedent where any territory is ceded to an invader. Well, I mean, that's very, very fanciful thinking.
Yeah, I mean, international politics is an inherently tragic and brutal business. So I think you need to sort of square up to that. Again, we've been at this for 3.5 years, and, Trump is sort of trying to unlock the thing. And I just think that's, getting at it. It's the other side that's been missing. The next round of sanctions has always been the decisive one. But then, the dog catches the car, if I can mix metaphors, and it turns out, no, that didn't actually work. It's very difficult to bring Russia to its knees by chasing around its oil that is in tanker ships that get flagged and reflagged and moved around. And so we were promised, everybody said, we need one more round of sanctions, and that'll force Putin into a no-conditions ceasefire. And I just think, nobody would bet the kids' college fund on that. No one. The people, pundits on CNN or anybody. Everybody knows deep down that that's not true. But there's this sort of one more round. It's like a drug addict, and it's one more hit. And that'll be the one that really does it for you. And we've been at this for, 3.5 years now. And it's time to come to the realization that, one more round of sanctions looks terribly unlikely to do anything. And, we've been getting a lot of slings and arrows from the Europeans. They're sitting on hundreds of billions of euros of Russia's foreign currency reserves in Belgium. They could immediately tap into those if they chose to do so They're not choosing to do so because even from the European countries' point of view, yes, there is an interest in not having, Russia annex chunks of Ukraine, but it is not an unlimited interest. It's not an interest that overwhelms every other interest that European countries have. So there's a little bit of, well, maybe more than a little bit of hypocrisy going on here.
Yeah, and there's also just, the real repository of these farcical. Really is almost a farcical notion. Are the utopians among us who believe in, who tell beautiful lies and believe in sort of magical things that can happen if you just apply the right amount of moral indignation. If there's enough finger wagging from CBS News in the direction with the backing of the politicians in the direction of Putin, then he's going to relent, and these are just not serious people. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, there's a very small c conservative versus capital P progressive point here, and that is that, the application of enough experts and enough, knowledge to a problem, can it solve social life or can it not? And small c conservatives would say no. We sort of have fallen man. We have, aggressive, rapacious states, and that's sort of the nature of the thing. And the sort of progressive model is no, whether it goes back to Woodrow Wilson or whomever, we'll get the best experts on the problem and we'll make social life, if not perfect, close to it. And that's just a sort of fundamental disagreement about the nature of the world, not to be too cosmic here at 6:45 in the morning.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Putin doesn't sober you up about the nature of man, then I don't know who will. Justin Logan is the Director of Defense and Foreign Policy Studies at the Cato Institute. Justin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
My friend Paula just remodeled her kitchen. I feel bad. It's so bland.
Yeah. Everyone's using the same templated designs these days or just refacing cabinets.
Let's check out Forever Remodeling. They do full and custom kitchen remodels from the ground up, just for us.
It'd be nice to have a kitchen that's truly ours.
Exactly.
Don't get the same kitchen design as everyone else. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Did you know that AM 560 Radio has a full-service digital marketing division called Salem Surround? If you're a business decision maker, listen up. AM 560 listeners are everywhere your potential audience is. So are our incredible targeting capabilities. We localize digital marketing and put it within reach of every business, small and large, in Chicagoland and beyond. Salem Surround offers AI-powered marketing solutions that reach your ideal audience. Whether or not you tap into the proven live, local, and emotional connection that AM 560 Radio brings, Salem Surround offers a total marketing solution to our partners. All-in-one digital solutions that provide targeted local digital and social media ads, Google AdWords management, website services, video strategy, search optimization, and even a management dashboard to offer you total campaign updates and transparency. Your Salem Surround representative is located right here in Chicago. Experience the Salem Surround digital revolution today. Call 847-472-8951. That's 847-472-8951.
Exclusive interviews, bold commentary, and behind-the-scenes insights into stories that the mainstream media won't cover. It's the Unshaken and Unafraid podcast with Joe Pags on the Salem Podcast Network.
You guys know better than anybody that you just can't compete on an equal level playing field with somebody of the opposite gender. It's just not fair. That's a fact.
Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com. AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for this week's installment of In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights. Because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does. And by the way, he's not afraid to dance around the third rail, which he does this morning. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. President Trump recently celebrated the 90th anniversary of Social Security and promised it would last another 90 years. Perhaps it will. Social insurance schemes have been around since Napoleon III in 1850s France. Now, teleology is the philosophical explanation that focuses on the purpose something serves rather than the cause out of which it arises. It works backwards. An example would be that because the universe works according to intelligent rules, then there must be a God. Or for Social Security, since it serves as a major source of income for millions of seniors, the government must continue to ensure it is funded, even though from a time value of money perspective, it is a huge ripoff. Well, liberals, of course, would leave the last part out, but they don't talk much about Social Security arising out of the cause of people living longer and being unable to work much now, do they? No, they know that because Social Security is insolvent, their best political argument is teleological. The 14th Amendment guarantees equal protection under the law for all persons. Since the 1890s, courts have consistently interpreted it to include corporations as such persons. Progressives hated this vehemently. So Social Security's tax provisions get revenge here by ensuring the employer, usually corporations with legal personhood, pay the same tax as the employee, who has actual personhood. They never intended this, but nice move, libs. More likely, it was philosopher Immanuel Kant whose sense of duty appealed to them, whom they were trying to emulate. His categorical imperative requires that in order for an action to be moral, it has to be universally applicable, as well as treat the recipient as an end rather than as a means. But Social Security fails both, as it certainly isn't universally applied. And it's been pretty clear for decades that politicians who espouse it don't care a bit about our retirements as ends, since they politicize it as the third rail so much. Instead, many of these reprobates seem to live by a different maxim, often wrongly attributed to Kant, the public relations strategy of never apologize, never explain.
Very good, Frank. Yeah, you really think that the designers of Social Security back in the bad old days of FDR had Immanuel Kant in mind or even knew who he was?
Probably not.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know they hated. Yeah. No, they didn't. I doubt it. But
they hated what?
Well, they hated corporate personhood.
Yes.
I wouldn't doubt that they wanted to punish the corporations because of that. But Immanuel Kant, they love Immanuel Kant. They love the idea of duty. Do the actual politicians know who he was? Probably not. But they love Kant and duty, that's for sure.
Yes, right. The philosophers of the big state, favorite philosophers, whether known or unknown. Frank, thank you as always. Wonderfully done. It is now 7 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
We're about to hear from President Trump. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. He's going to go on Fox and Friends the morning after big White House meetings trying to end Russia's war in Ukraine.
I believe you have two willing parties, and usually that's good news, but two willing parties that want to make a deal.
The president met with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders days after the summit with Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Alaska. He also posted on Truth Social.
I called President Putin and began the arrangements for a meeting at a location to be determined between President Putin and President Zelensky. After that meeting takes place, we will have a trilat, which would be the two presidents plus myself. So we're told this potential meeting could take place in the next 1 to 2 weeks.
That's Fox's Alexandria Hoff at the White House.
European leaders who were here yesterday, they also agreed to offer troops to station in Ukraine similar to NATO peacekeepers if Russia and Ukraine agree to end the war, which the Trump administration has long felt will require a degree of fair land swaps.
We're still waiting for Israel's response to reports Hamas has agreed to a ceasefire proposed by mediators. Meanwhile, more aid on its way to Gaza. 1,200 tons of food and supplies on a ship from Cyprus.
The situation in Gaza is beyond dire, warns the Cypriot foreign minister. Humanitarian groups say the Palestinian territory is sliding into famine. The Israeli government dismisses these claims as lies promoted by Hamas. But the UN says starvation and malnutrition levels in Gaza are at their highest since the war began.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Air Canada is getting ready to fly again tonight. The strike that grounded flights is over.
The tentative agreement between Air Canada and the union representing its flight attendants coming on day 4 of the strike, which upended travel for an estimated 500,000 passengers. And after flight attendants defied 2 return-to-work orders from an industrial relations board, which ruled the strike unlawful.
Fox's Lillian Wu. Partial win for the Trump administration. A federal judge has dismissed a portion of a lawsuit against the illegal immigration detention center in Florida, Alligator Alcatraz. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 72 degrees in Chicago at AM 560. The Answer. I'm Bob Stevenson. Tragedy yesterday when a man died after coming into contact with the third rail of the CTA Red Line's State and Lake Station. That was early yesterday morning. Police say it happened about 4:45 when the man went onto the tracks. He was pronounced dead at the scene. That incident caused Red Line trains to be rerouted for nearly 2 hours before normal service resumed. Just a reminder to really be careful when you're right there in the vicinity of those rails. Joliet police say a mother fatally shot a suspected home intruder Friday night. Officers responded to Hadrian Drive about 10:30 in the evening, where investigators say the woman heard somebody break in. She grabbed her baby and hid in a closet. When the suspect forced his way into the bedroom, she fired. She hit him in the head, and he was pronounced dead at the scene. Former Robbins acting police chief Carl Scott pleaded guilty to battery charges yesterday. A judge sentenced him to 2 years probation, ordered anger management, and revoked his law enforcement certificate. Prosecutors say Scott punched a man last year who was filming inside the station. He later resigned before the mayor could fire him. Well, you remember those torrential rains that we had here in the Chicago area. They flooded parts of the city. Weeks after those rains, FEMA teams joined with city, county, and state officials in Garfield Ridge this week to survey the storm damage. Crews went door to door. They collected information as part of a preliminary assessment. That assessment is needed before the state can request federal disaster aid. Residents say the water backed up into their basements when the sewers overflowed. This news is a service of Air Right Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections. Don't wait for heat wave for that old air conditioner to break down. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RATE.com. Again, that's AIR-RATE.com. Check the roads coming up in just 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Shaunfest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/Shaunfest. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service and by myvirago.com.
People ask us all the time, when's the best time to replace an old air conditioner? Simple. Before it breaks. Because when it does, you know it'll be the hottest day of the year, and suddenly you're scrambling like hundreds of others to get help during a heat wave. At Air Right Heating and Cooling, we've seen it all. We know there's never a good time to be without AC, especially in Chicagoland, where the humidity can make 80 degrees feel like 100. At Air Right, our experienced technicians don't just work fast, they'll do it right. Browse through our more than 1,500 five-star Google reviews to see what our loyal customers love most about us. If it's been a while since your system was inspected, don't wait for a heat wave before having it checked out. And right now, AM 560 listeners receive $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Chicago businesses, you can't afford to be down. You don't have time to wait for IT support. You need one company that does IT well and does it right. Meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Chicago owned, Chicago run, and serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore. Access One is the trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. Access One is your one vendor for everything tech. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. Eden's inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, a 21-minute travel time. 14 minutes Eden's outbound Montrose to Lake Cook. A 39-minute drive time on the Kennedy inbound O'Hare to Byrne Interchange. On the Kennedy outbound Byrne Interchange to O'Hare, 35 minutes. Eisenhower inbound Jane Addams to Old Post Office, you're looking at a 52-minute ride. On the Eisenhower outbound Old Post Office to Jane Addams, 39 minutes. A 42-minute travel time on the Stevenson inbound 355 to Lakeshore Drive. On the Stevenson outbound Lakeshore Drive to 355, 23 minutes. Dan Ryan inbound between 95th and Byrne Interchange, 22 minutes. Outbound Dan Ryan Byrne Interchange to 95th, 11 minutes. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants with medical PPO insurance? It's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at almostfreeteeth.com. Making smiles great again. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today, expect a morning thunderstorm in some areas, then remaining humid with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 80. Tonight will be mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 68. Tomorrow, anticipate more humidity with clouds giving way to sunshine and a high temperature of 78. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and well, the criminal referrals are flying fast and furious. You heard Ed Martin earlier this week on Maria Bartiromo over the weekend talking about the criminal referrals of Schiff, of Letitia James, obviously the Strike Force investigation into all things Russiagate, as all of those documents and emails have been released by Tulsi Gabbard. And the responses from those party to these various endeavors like Russiagate, including but not limited to John Brennan and Taylor Swift fan club president Jim Comey. So where does this all go? What should we continue to look at? What deeper understanding of the deep state and its weaponization of government in the Trump area do we need to understand? Well, one of the Trump legal travails that has been subordinated to other Trump legal travails and political travails like Russiagate is the raid on Mar-a-Lago and the classified docs case. Now, somebody who had sort of a front seat view on this is Christina Bobb. She is a former Marine and Trump attorney. She now takes on government corruption as an attorney with Judicial Watch, our friend Tom Fitton, and the boys and girls over at Judicial Watch, which acted as basically a shadow Department of Justice during the Biden years. Christina Bobb has a new book, Defiant is the name of it, Inside the Mar-a-Lago Raid and the Left's Ongoing Lawfare, which is available right after Labor Day on September 9th, but you can pre-order it now at all the usual places. Christina Bobb joins us now. Christina, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Dan.
So take us into the back and forth between Trump world and the National Archivist and then the FBI culminating with that infamous raid.
Yeah, well, I'm sure, your listeners will be shocked to learn that they never had probable cause in the first place. I mean, the investigation itself never should have been opened. The Presidential Records Act gives very clear guidelines about what a president can take and what he cannot take, and everything that, and it is the president and only the president who gets to make that decision. Everything that Donald Trump took was well within his right to have. This was never supposed to be a obstruction of justice case down in Florida. They never wanted to bring a criminal case against Donald Trump in Florida. They had to, because by that point they had. But by the time they realized,
who's the they that did not want to but were compelled to?
Jack Smith and his team.
Okay.
So Jack Smith and his team wanted to bring this case in Washington, D.C. They were trying to create, at least according to the subpoena, some type of espionage case similar to Hillary Clinton's emails and make it look like he was, careless with how he handled classified documents. He was not. But they were trying to link it into this larger conspiracy that they had already started back in 2016, and they were trying to prosecute him in Washington, D.C. And I know that because the entire grand jury took place in Washington, D.C. Even after the raid, even after they realized they didn't have anything, they were still trying to prosecute him in D.C. And it was only once they realized we just don't have anything. Nothing from Mar-a-Lago turned out to be criminal. There was no evidence of any crime. They had to reframe it into an obstruction of justice case and bring it down in Florida because that's where the documents were. That's where everything took place. If you look at the actual indictment that they indicted him with, it's all obstruction of justice charges, which means if Jack Smith had never opened the investigation, or it wasn't actually Jack Smith, it happened before Jack Smith, but if they had never opened that investigation, there would be no crime. The crime was in, at least what they allege, was in the conduct of the investigation, which in and of itself was all lies anyway. And I've got the emails, the text messages, everything laid out in the book, so you can see exactly how it all went out. Yeah, how it all went down.
That's a salient point because, right, so if the crime was taking the documents, the crime occurred in D.C., so you'd have to prosecute the case there. And and then it, as you say, then it moved down to Florida because there was nothing underlying. So it's a process crime. You didn't comply with our request, or you intentionally attempted to obstruct justice, and so that's how we're going to. Yes, no, that's a salient point that I don't think is made often enough.
It's the same thing that they did in New York too. They prosecuted him for some criminal activity, but they never identified what the underlying crime was. The fraud and furtherance of a crime. But what was the crime? They never identified it, even in that trial. So it's the same thing they did. They never identified the actual crime. They just include this process, charge that never should have been brought in the first place.
So I think people would be interested, since you are on the inside of this, just in what is the interactions that you have as somebody representing Trump with those pursuing Trump, to give us a sense of the kind of people you're actually dealing with, what their incentive structure is, how they treat people.
Right. So it started out friendly. So I was the custodian of records. By the time the subpoena came, the grand jury subpoena for the documents, President Trump obviously had a criminal defense team handling that. And then I was designated, I was a staff attorney working for the president on election issues. And I was an attorney, I was in the area, it was convenient to designate me as the custodian of records, who would be, coordinating with the defense attorney and also with the Department of Justice and FBI at Mar-a-Lago to, facilitate really whatever they wanted. I mean, President Trump had no obligation to turn anything over. It was more of a, we're trying to be cooperative. We're trying to help you. So you can come to Mar-a-Lago. You can see whatever you want. They were invited down. They came June. So the raid was August 8th. Prior, I think it was June 3rd or June 2nd or something like that. We had a meeting with them at Mar-a-Lago, and we're like, what do you want? What do you want to see? We'll show you anything. Everything they asked to see, they were allowed to see. So we thought, okay, well, it was cordial. It was fine, whatever. And then the next thing is they show up, with the SWAT team and raid the place. It was really bizarre. So I've got all of those communications in there, and thankfully President Trump did the forward, so you get a special note from the president there too. But this raid never should have happened. They had to go to a judge who was conflicted out, who just weeks prior had recused himself from a Trump case because he said he couldn't be impartial. The judge said this about himself. So he recused himself, saying, I can't be impartial. And then a few weeks later, when the FBI wants to raid Mar-a-Lago, that's the judge they go to. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll let you raid the place. They lied to the judge. They never told the judge they met with Donald Trump, that he said, I'll cooperate, show you whatever you want. They never disclosed that we had already cooperated with them. They flat out lied in order to get the search warrant from a compromised judge. None of this should have ever happened, and these people need to be prosecuted.
So they need to be prosecuted for what's the charge?
Part of the conspiracy. I mean, trying to. I mean, it could be abuse of power. It can be part of the larger conspiracy that they're bringing up in D.C. I think certainly obstruction of justice, violation of your oath of office. I think abuse of power at the very least.
The So then, what was the interaction? So you're caught off guard by this raid because you're being cooperative, as you described. And so then, what's the interaction with Jack Smith and his team, and the FBI, for that matter, to the extent there was interaction there after this raid is conducted?
Yeah. So the type of interaction varied depending on what was going on. So at the beginning, it was friendly, cordial. We all thought like, okay, we invited him over. That was good. Then at the raid, it was incredibly contentious.
Yeah, I imagine.
Not friendly at all. And then afterwards, it was, for me anyway, it was pretty cooperative. My role, I had to testify before the grand jury. I got interrogated by the Department of Justice and FBI. And just to be clear, on multiple cases, not just the documents case. That's the majority of the book because that's really probably what people are more interested in. But I also was involved in the Jack Smith January 6th investigation, as well as the sham J6 committee investigation. And I'm currently a criminal defendant in Arizona. Like I have experience.
I want to ask you about that, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that's it. So then I would not say it was friendly in any means. I mean, with the Jack Smith team, it kind of got cordial because it was very clear I had no criminal liability. But I was terrified, right? I don't know. Are they going to try to frame me? What are they going to do? So it was pretty awful.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. But I would just be like, after that raid, based on how you described the interaction, I would be like, what the hell are you doing? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, what is the basis for this?
There's that, but then there's also the whole, holy cow, there's no reason to be doing this. So are they going to, clearly they're trying to make up a crime that never occurred. And then certainly just out of my own self-interest, I was very concerned that they were going to try to say I committed a crime, Mm-hmm. And so it was really awful. I mean, they ruined several years of my life. I had to get lawyers and then they defamed me. I mean, the amount of lawfare I experienced in 3.5 years was unbelievable, just absolutely unbelievable.
Well, I understand it's ongoing. You just mentioned in April of last year, you're one of 18 that were indicted on felony counts of fraud, forgery, and conspiracy with respect to the 2020 Arizona electors issue in Arizona, obviously. And so I know you pled not guilty, but where does that stand?
Yeah, so that case is still open. I'm still a defendant. We've won pretty much everything we've filed, which is great. It took us a year to get there because our previous judge was working basically for the defense. It wasn't until after the election that his emails got leaked saying that we were all a bunch of Nazis and all deserve to be treated as Nazis. Like, my judge is saying this about me, and I'm supposed to believe I can get a fair trial.
Mm-hmm.
So he's clearly taking a political stance, trying to hurt us because of his political views. So once his emails got leaked, he got recused. We got a new judge. He's actually been pretty good. He's ruled in our favor. So the indictment has been thrown out. So technically, I'm no longer under indictment. But he has not closed the case yet. He's allowing it to linger. My guess is none of these judges want to be the ones to dismiss the case. And so they all know that Chris Mays is going to lose election. Chris Mays is the AG. she's going to lose election in 2026. There will be a new AG in 2027, and that AG will just dismiss the case. That is our interpretation of what the court system is trying to do, which is terrible because every month I've got legal fees. Every month my lawyers have to deal with something related to the case because it's still open, and they're just going to bleed us all dry and let it ruin our lives, destroy our reputation, destroy our ability to work just because it's political and they don't want to be the ones to deal with it.
And did some of those in that Arizona case plead out?
One lady did. So this is how egregious it is, right? One lady was like, I don't want to deal with this. I want my life back. So she pled guilty to, I think it was some misdemeanor where she got unsupervised probation. So she's like, I mean, they're accusing us of trying to overthrow the United States government, and she pled to unsupervised probation.
Yeah.
It's like,
right.
What?
Yeah. Right. It's about, the level of seriousness. Fascism is descending on America, so I'm going to throw a sandwich at somebody. I mean, that's you're right.
Exactly.
That's not exactly the proportional response based on what you're saying the threat is. No, that's about right. Since you mentioned it, the Jack Smith J6 case, that this was where they did this, absurd use of Sarbanes-Oxley to try to apply this apply this in this context, which is intended for corporate proceedings, and so I wonder what the interaction was there. I mean, as you say, it was sort of like Alvin Bragg in New York, which is sort of inventing a new and completely unfounded interpretation of statutory law. The same thing Jack Smith did in that case.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing was made up and fake, and I think it's going to be their biggest regret, honestly, because if you look at what they charged Donald Trump with for January 6th, it was that according to them, right, I don't believe the facts as stated, but this is what they're saying. The 2020 presidential election was over. Donald Trump lost, but he was still in office. But he was refusing a peaceful transition of power to who they're claiming was the lawfully elected president, Joe Biden. And he used his time remaining in office to try to obstruct the incoming administration. That is the crux of what they're saying about January 6th. It's always been the crux of what they're saying. I mean, if you remember back in 2020, they're like, oh, he wants to prevent the peaceful transition of power. Remember that phrase?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what they accused him of. That is exactly what Tulsi Gabbard exposed recently when she released these documents. In 2016, Donald Trump had lawfully won the election. Barack Obama was still in office, and he used his remaining time in office to try to obstruct the incoming administration. It's like almost exactly the same thing, slightly different, facts, but pretty much exactly the same thing that they're alleging of Barack Obama. And so all of the precedent that they set by bringing that case, they have established it themselves. I mean, they're going to hang on the gallows they created.
Accuse your opponent of what you're doing. That old ploy, right?
Exactly. Right.
And so, yeah, and it's important to note too. I mean, because the talking point has been, probably will forever be, on places like MSNBC, MSNOW or something now,
right?
will be that it was an insurrection. He instigated an insurrection. He tried to overthrow the government. He led a revolt. He's Daniel Shays. And in point of fact, that he was never charged with anything of the sort. That's always lost in this discussion on certain cable news channels and among the left generally.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Not only was he not charged, Nobody was charged with it. Nobody was charged with insurrection. So this idea, legally speaking, there was no insurrection on January 6th, and DOJ doesn't even dispute that because they never charged anybody with that. They were using the word insurrection like, that was their mantra because they were trying to, one, either keep Donald Trump off the ballot, or two, their holy grail that they were searching for was to try to render him ineligible to hold office again. And they needed that word insurrection because that is what would keep him off the ballot. That is what would make him ineligible due to the I think it's the 14th Amendment.
14th Amendment, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, we have to pour over this again and again because it's so distorted on a rolling basis by most of the DC press corps. So here's the $100,000 question. Now, as somebody who's on the inside, kind of, sort of, And still doing a lot of inside work with Judicial Watch. Everybody wants to know, are we going to see the kind of reckoning for some of these high-profile and at one time very powerful actors that people believe is required to sort of restore any sort of semblance of faith in the federal government? You know who we're talking about, the Comeys, the Brennans, the Schiffs. What do you think?
Yeah, the Clintons. Yeah, definitely. I would be shocked at this point if we didn't see that. I expect it to come. My personal question is, will it be enough? You can't just do one or two or a couple low-hanging fruit. I mean, you've got to cut the head off of this if we want to make sure it doesn't grow back. So, but yeah, I definitely expect to see at least a handful of indictments come out. I would also expect that they leave the grand juries open for potential further indictments. But yeah, we're going to see something for sure.
Christina Bobb, former Marine and Trump attorney, now takes on government corruption as an attorney with Judicial Watch. Her book, Defiant, Inside the Mar-a-Lago Raid and the Left's Ongoing Lawfare. It's available September 9th, but pre-order it now. The book is Defiant. The author, Christina Bobb. Christina, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
And she joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It was a typical day. You were doing the usual, but then you met up with a friend at Weinstock Market and Lounge in Woodstock. Wow! The small-town charm and turn-of-the-century building set the tone for a classic outing. Their charcuterie pleased your palate like you never imagined. The Chicago beef sandwich made your taste buds dance. And the hand-selected wines from small vineyards around the world, so perfect. All paired with amazing live music. Weinstock Market and Lounge changes your day from ordinary to extraordinary.
Weinstock Market and Lounge, voted McHenry County's best wine shop and best of Fox 2 years in a row. Open Tuesday through Saturday, 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. Live music on weekends. Open mic nights on Tuesdays. Enjoy the fresh baked pizza and Chicago beef sandwiches. Wine favorites from Italy, New Zealand, France, and California. And a full menu of handcrafted cocktails. Plan a trip to Weinstock Market and Lounge on the square in downtown Woodstock. Mention AM 560 and receive 10% off any purchase.
You know what really keeps me up at night? It's the criminals feel more and more bold. They have no fear of any consequences because there are none. So I did what anyone with a family should do. I called Goldilocks. They're not just some cookie-cutter security company. Goldilocks has been protecting Chicagoland homes and businesses for 4 decades, 40 years. And they actually listen. Their technician comes out to the house. He takes a look at what you need to make your house a smart home with a security system you can monitor from anywhere. It's built specifically for me and my family. Motion sensors, smart locks, cameras, monitoring, all customized. I don't trust anybody in Illinois to protect my family. I do it, and I did it by calling Goldilocks. I trust Goldilocks to keep my house, my property, and my family safe. Tell them Sean Thompson sent you, and Goldilocks will include 3 months free monitoring with any new installation. Call Goldilocks at 708-899-5600. That's 708-899-5600. Or visit them online at GoldilocksInc.com.
Gain a global perspective and specialized skills that many of today's top employers are seeking with an MBA from University of Maryland Global Campus. Study online and complete your degree in just 16 months for about $21K. Choose from MBA specializations in global business, marketing, HR, finance, and more. No application fee if you apply by September 3rd. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Everybody is keeping an eye on the Fed and how an interest rate cut might affect gold prices. Gold has been hovering at around $3,400 an ounce for the last 2 months and is poised for dramatic growth with the next interest rate cut. If you have a qualified IRA or 401k, you could receive up to $10,000 in free gold and silver when you open your retirement account with Advantage Gold. Call 800-900-8000 now or visit AdvantageGold.com and get your free gold IRA guide. Consult with your financial and tax professionals before making investment decisions. Call 800-900-8000.
And that's why you should never trust a raccoon wearing a necktie.
What are you doing, Arvid?
Telling Nicole a joke.
Here?
At Penny Mustard?
No, I mean here, next to the Theon dining room table.
What's wrong with that?
This is no laughing matter. The Theon table is proper, stoic, and no nonsense.
It has good table manners.
Come on, act with dignity.
The Theon brings something to the table.
Stop that.
And those Herald chairs are so friendly, they always have your back.
Can we please focus on the Theon table's American-made craftsmanship and solid wood construction?
You would not believe how sturdy this table is.
Be serious.
All right, Ben.
Let's table this discussion until later.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Come see the Theon table, paired with 6 Herald chairs, starting at $47.95 at Penny Mustard.
7 locations throughout Chicagoland.
PennyMustard.com.
Serious versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Too often, cremated remains are kept at home, then forgotten. At Queen of Heaven Cemetery in Hillside, we have your cremation options. Come visit our new cremation garden, see our beautiful granite columbariums, or view our elegant indoor glass front niches. These offer sacred, lasting ways to honor your loved one. If cremation is your choice, our memorialization is a forever option. Give them the dignity of a permanent resting place where they'll be remembered for generations. Visit us today, CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning coming up at 7:37, our weekly installment of all things Illinois policy related with wirepoints.com. The founder, Mark Lennon, joins us at 7:37. We'll discuss the new legislation offering financial assistance to Illinois for college, for Illinoisans, for illegals in Illinois, residing in Illinois. We'll start there with Mark Lennon at 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 73 degrees in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Bob Stevenson. The vacant building collapsed yesterday morning in Chicago's West Englewood neighborhood. Fire officials say the home on Loomis Boulevard near 68th Street caved in following the weekend storms. City inspectors and utility crews remained on scene, preparing the property for demolition. Exact cause of the collapse still under investigation. Chicago police say a 63-year-old rideshare driver was shot while carrying a passenger yesterday afternoon in the Chicago Lawn neighborhood. The driver was hit in the back but managed to drive himself to St. Bernard Hospital. He's in good condition. His 23-year-old passenger wasn't hurt. Police say the shooter opened fire from a nearby residence before running off. No arrests have been made. 4 members shot Saturday night on Chicago's near west side. Police say it happened just before 11 p.m. on West Jackson Boulevard. A 32-year-old man's in critical condition after being shot multiple times, while 3 others, ages 19, 22, and 36, suffered less serious wounds. All were taken to Stroger Hospital. This news is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. If you've been getting high quotes for dental implants, with medical PPO insurance, it's possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in just 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Charlie Kirk says we need to tread lightly.
I would introduce some caution here about trying to indict Obama. Not, of course, I think he probably deserves it. But remember, Obama still remains very popular amongst the American people. You could potentially create a political martyr. However, I think indicting Brennan and Comey, who are the operators here, we want this case to be ironclad. If you indict them and this fails, it's worse than never even trying.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Scott Jennings at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. When Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signs a law that is first in the nation, you can bet it's a disaster. Pritzker is making national news again for his law that mandates schools provide universal annual mental health screenings for public school children in 3rd through 12th grades. This is a costly and dangerous policy. These screenings aren't new. According to the State Board of Education, universal mental health screening is already happening in 28% of school districts, but nobody seems to be aware of that. So the first thing parents should do is find out whether or not their school is already screening for mental health. Numerous experts have weighed in, from Dr. Leonard Sachs to researcher Abigail Schreier, with a common concern that universal screening will overdiagnose, misdiagnose, and suggest mental illness in young children where none exists. The law is not in full effect until next year, so parents should confront their school boards now and ask them to refuse to implement the law or use their power to repeal it. But before they speak up, parents should know they are in for a fight. The taxpayer-funded Illinois Association of School Boards supported the bill. The other education associations were silent on it. Obviously, the educrats don't want to rock Pritzker's boat. They should know that the entire education bureaucracy is opposed to parental control of education. The elitists think all aspects of your child's development are within their power to control. When CTU President Stacey Davis Gates said, CTU thinks your children are its children, yes, we do, she wasn't lying. She was bragging about their power. The same bureaucracy that supports the transgender lie and bought into the COVID masks and lockdowns and only educates 1/3 of Illinois children to proficiency cannot be trusted to screen for something as critical as your child's mental health. Parents must flood their school boards with emails and comments or face the consequences. I'm Jeannie Ives. Join me on Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. on this station and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Hey, this is Sean Thompson. You know, there's an old joke about Uncle Sam's tax short form. The first line says, how much did you make? The next line says, send it in. Sadly, that's not funny at all for honest people who pay taxes. But that's exactly what a lot of people do in their retirement. They take money out of their 401k and their IRA, and they send it into the IRS. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group believes there's a better plan for your retirement than Uncle Sam's plan of send it in. What if your current plan includes thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes and fees? What if you're headed for higher Medicare payments, lower Social Security checks? What if the savings you may realize allows you to retire even earlier? Wouldn't you want to know all of that right now? Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group and find out today. Call 630-864-6711. The number again, 630-864-6711. You can also visit alphawealthgroup.com to schedule your no-obligation consultation.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of Blindster.com. On the inbound Edens Lake Cook to Montrose, 19 minutes. 15 minutes on the Edens outbound Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound O'Hare to Burn Interchange, 47 minutes and a 46-minute drive time on the Kennedy outbound Burn Interchange to O'Hare. On the Eisenhower inbound Jane Addams to Old Post Office, you're looking at 61 minutes. A 47-minute travel time on the Eisenhower outbound Old Post Office to Jane Addams. 49 minutes on the Stevenson inbound 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Stevenson outbound Lakeshore Drive to 355, 23 minutes. A 29-minute drive on the Dan Ryan inbound between 95th and Burn Interchange. On the reverse trip outbound Dan Ryan from the Burn Interchange to 95th, 11 minutes. What if they could guarantee the price of Bitcoin will be $1 million by 2030? Well, they can't, but they can guarantee you'll save a lot of money on blinds at their company, Blindster.com. Free samples, free shipping, and guaranteed to fit. Shop at Blindster.com today. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today, expect a thunderstorm in spots early this morning. Otherwise, it'll be humid with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 80. Tonight will be mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 68. Tomorrow, anticipate humid conditions with clouds giving way to sunshine as temperatures peak at 78. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Before we get to all things Illinois policy related, I just want to address a Charlie Kirk clip I heard during the break that shouldn't indict Obama because he's popular, and it'd be worse to indict Comey and Brennan, and it would be worse to indict them and not convict them to not indict them at all. Completely disagree. And frankly, that's not the standard. The standard to bring a criminal case is not the popularity of the target. The standard is the quality of the case. The standard is not the likelihood of success. The standard is the quality of the case. The quality of the case. So show me what kind of case you have. I mean, you don't just indict him to indict him. You don't do that to anybody. There is one standard, or there needs to be, when it comes to the application of criminal law. The quality of the case, the evidence. That's the standard, period. And it's frustrating when conservatives want to play the same game that the left does with respect to standards when we're talking about something as serious as criminal law and the deprivation of people's freedoms, ultimately, which is what's at stake in a criminal proceeding. Okay. Jelly Belly at the State Fair last week was hailing all the wonders that he and the New Marxist Party have brought to Illinois. You can get a flavor for it right here.
To the pundits and the critics about what direction the National Democratic Party needs to go, I say, take a look at Illinois Democrats. Yes, winning elections is partly about messaging and strategy, but it's mostly about values and delivering on them. And our values are exactly where they ought to be. So it's time to stop apologizing when we're not wrong. And it's time to stop surrendering when we need to fight. And yes, folks, we are messing with Texas. Our farmers and small businesses don't deserve to be bankrupted by Trump's tariff wars. Our working class families don't deserve to lose their health care because Republicans in Congress want to hand a massive tax cut to billionaires. Our federal workers don't deserve to have some 19-year-old Doge bro called Big Balls destroy their careers. Kids and adults with autism, loving contributors to our society, don't deserve to be stigmatized by a weird Nepo baby who once stashed a dead bear in the backseat of his car. Immigrants who are obeying the law and paying their taxes, hoping one day to become U.S. citizens, don't deserve to be grabbed off the street and shipped off to Libya without due process. Our brave soldiers don't deserve to be told by a washed-up Fox TV commentator who drank too much and committed sexual assault before being appointed Secretary of Defense that they can't serve this country simply because they're black or gay or a woman.
So apparently the main thing he has done for Illinois is to oppose Trump since his reelection 7 months ago, or since his inauguration 7 months ago. That's the main thing he's done for Illinois. I mean, that's the summary of that he offered of 8 years as governor. That's making lives better for Illinoisans. One thing, though, just on immigrants, one thing they do deserve, people in this country illegally. One thing they do deserve, in addition to paying in-state tuition to go to institutions of higher education in the state of Illinois that are financed by taxpayers, U of I to the tune of $700 million a year. They deserve to be subsidized with in-state tuition, even though they're in this country illegally. They also deserve access to financial aid. That's legislation I mentioned earlier in the show that Pritzker just signed on Friday that guarantees quote unquote undocumented students in Illinois have the same access to student financial aid that Illinois families who are American citizens or otherwise in this country legally have access to, because there is no difference between being here legally and being here illegally. Not according to Jelly Belly. And all of those new Marxists who dominate the General Assembly. Making your lives better by opposing everything Trump does. Okay. The other, at least 4 of the other 8 years, what, nothing? Just supporting everything Biden does. That's what you expect out of your governor and your state leadership. For more on this, Mark Lennon, founder and executive editor of wirepoints.com, joins us. Mark, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Morning, Dan. Thank you.
So the deliverables from that governor and his party over the last 8 months, the last 4 years, the last 8 years, what say you?
Geez, what is he thinking? What are they thinking? I mean, you go down the list of the headlines just in the past week or two, and Illinois doesn't want this. They want the border enforced, and we're putting out more inducements for illegals to come here. Yeah, there ought to be some humanity in how we deal with deportation issues, but they want the borders enforced. I mean, you just go down the list of everything, and he is out of sync with Illinois and the rest of the nation. I'd like to know who his pollster is. Crime, the Safety Act, Illinoisans don't want that. Open borders, of course. Woke, politicized classrooms, climate. They want to see a mix of things, not this sole focus on renewables. They know there's a financial crisis. Pritzker denies it. Population laws, Pritzker denies it. Go down the list. It goes on, and he's just out of sync. We haven't written many original stories, but if you go to Wirepoints, you just look at the headlines from third-party sources on recent news, and the jokes write themselves. This is a horror story manifest. He's signing bill after bill that's nobody wants. You just had that wonderful clip too of Jeannie Ives summarizing that bill that mandates mental health testing for kids up through high school. Mental health doesn't mean that you're crazy necessarily, but I'll tell you what's crazy is the Democrats, of all people, imposing that law because it's their kids who are most susceptible to the errors that are going to be in this. There's a 50% error rate in diagnosis of people with mental health problems, and research consistently shows that it's young female liberals that overwhelmingly complain about mental health problems, at ratio of 2 to 1 over other groups. And they're going to get diagnosed. They're going to get tagged as having a mental health problem by the school system and in their own minds. This is just crazy, and it's getting worse and worse.
The mental health screening, the mandatory mental health screening I know there's an opt-out, but in terms of the sort of culture it's going to create in K through 12, or at least grades 3 through 12 within K through 12, which is K through 12 in terms of culture. It's interesting that has struck a nerve. You never know what's going to strike a nerve among a populace that is largely appears to be numb to pain. But that has really struck a nerve. I think parents are wary enough to say, these are the wrong people in charge of the wrong thing at the wrong place. I don't like it. I don't like where this is going to go. There are enough sort of horror stories. The mental health is a complicated topic, and this is just not something that should be done sort of en masse and willy nilly. And probably a lot of them say, I'm seeing some of what my kids come home with, and I'd like a little bit more focus on the core mission here, reading and writing and critical thinking, and a little less on everything but those things.
Yes, and so stop telling my kids that they're mentally ill and need medications and everything else. Just teach them what they need to learn. That's what we need. It's people understand this, and this is an unfunded mandate, by the way, too. It's up to schools to find the people who are going to make these assessments. You can imagine how badly that's going to be done, especially in a place like Chicago. Stacey Davis Gates is essentially going to be in charge of this. It's a total mess. I'm glad that has really caught a nerve. It's caught national headlines, and Pritzker ought to be reamed for it here in Illinois and across the nation.
The other thing that's
first in the nation to do this, by the way.
Yeah, first in the nation on the mental health screening, mandatory mental health screening, right. The other thing that's catching a bit of a nerve, too, not at like state-run media. The big story about CPS this week, the kids, all those budding honor students went back to school yesterday. Well, not all of them, some of them. The story from state-run media, WBEZ, what are Chicago public high schoolers wearing the first day of class? And you get perspectives on the outfits that different kids at CPS are wearing with some commentary. Like when you put together a good outfit and you step outside, you just feel more confident in yourself. Ethan Martinez looked at the clothes hanging in his closet in 7th grade and thought it was time for a change. The colorful T-shirts from his parents with graphics of kids' characters didn't seem appropriate for a soon-to-be high schooler. That's when he started shopping for himself. Now Ethan follows the trends and styles, his everyday fits, as the kids call them, for a put-together look, and so on and so forth. Fascinating distillations of the thinking of these young people in terms of the outfits that they select. Probably uniforms, generally speaking, would be a better play, but that I digress. The point is, the real story of CPS is not what Ethan is wearing to school. It's that we just had the State Board of Education dumb down the standards to meet the actual performance of more of the kids in CPS. In other words, reduce what the scores necessary to be considered proficient in reading and math, because that's the real problem in CPS. The standards are too high.
Yeah, that too is getting national headlines. Pritzker's getting embarrassed about that. Your schools are failing. Just change the standards to say that they're improving. That's what they're trying to do. This is another topic where parents have woken up. Thanks largely to my colleagues' work, Ted and John and Dwyer Points. Illinois has become aware of how badly these schools are performing, even though Pritzker denies it. And the teachers' unions, of course, are losing credibility. The polls show that the public has turned overwhelmingly against Chicago Teachers Union. Finally, they recognize that those unions are not the same as teachers in general, and are willing to blame the unions for their role in this. But message isn't getting across to our supermajority in the legislature and Governor Pritzker.
Well, the other story coming out of CPS is, the financial troubles, despite the ever-ballooning budgets, because the ever-ballooning spending exceeds the ever-ballooning budgets. And probably cutting 500 janitors isn't going to be enough.
Yeah, huge deficit at the public schools with no solutions in sight to any of this. We have a perfect storm now going in Chicago. The school system, the public transit system facing a $700 million deficit this year, $1 billion next year. Again, no solution in sight, and $1 billion deficit for the city itself, where no solutions are on the table. Chicago's going to have to revert to raising property taxes. I don't think there's any question about it, and that's just going to worsen the cycle.
Well, as long as you oppose Trump, that's the important thing. Mark Glennon, founder and executive editor, WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks so much, Dan. Take care.
And Mark joined us at the turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Most investments today feel like second jobs. Real estate, you're a landlord. Stocks, you're a day trader. Crypto, you're a full-time researcher. You've got a life to live. Your investment should help you live it. That's why more Americans are choosing gold. Noble Gold has helped thousands protect their future with real physical gold. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com to get your free wealth protection kit. That's noblegoldinvestments.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Your manufacturing production is only as good as your manufacturing team.
Monarch makes you better, plain and simple. They do an excellent job at recruiting the right people, qualified, experienced top talent that improve productivity.
Monarch Technical Services has been leading the Chicago staffing industry for manufacturing and engineering since 1987.
Their vetting process is bang on, and their payment terms show just how dedicated to helping they are. You have 6 months to pay the finder's fee, and if for any reason the candidate leaves, the fee ends. Simple.
Monarch's payment terms allow you to make sure employees fit in before fees are paid in full. It's a working partnership that works.
If you're growing your manufacturing team, trust me, call Monarch Technical Services.
Monarch meets every candidate in person to interview and test for specific skills and assesses experience by using blueprint, shop math, part measurement, and CNC program exams. Call 847-342-1221. That's 847-342-1221. Or visit monarchtechnical.com.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr. Now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Shoot. Hun, I can't fix this leak.
That's okay, babe. I'll get a plumber.
Oh, boy. What's that going to cost?
I'll let you know in 60 seconds.
Huh?
For a rapid estimate on a plumbing repair, just go to centerguardplumbing.com. Use the easy price calculator and get a quote for many jobs in just 60 seconds.
Okay. It's not going to be much, babe.
Okay. That was fast.
Serving the entire Chicagoland area since 2005, CenterGuard Plumbing is your trusted source for quick, lasting repairs, sewer services, water line solutions, water heater service, to whole house water treatment. And with their online easy price calculator, you can get a free quote in just 60 seconds. Trust CenterGuard to do the job right. Quality work at the lowest prices around. They're family owned with top-notch plumbers that are licensed, bonded, and insured. Whether installing a new faucet or plumbing a new home, you can count on CenterGuard. Get your free quote now at centerguardplumbing.com. They're ready to help.
Wow. At the time of this being written, both gold and silver are up some 40%. That's 40% in just 1 year. In fact, this past year, gold has broken all-time historic records by hundreds of dollars an ounce. And unlike all other financial instruments used today, that historic record goes back thousands of years. In times like these, prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins and bars, but also those old coin and paper money collections. They're especially looking for the scarcer dates and higher grade coins. Take advantage of the record high market price and our huge demand now, whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out their worth. Fox Valley Coins is the place to go. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just 1 light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up at 8:08, Trump addressed another issue yesterday in his sit-down with Zelensky, unrelated to Ukraine. Mail-in ballots, voter fraud. We'll discuss at 8:08. It is now 8 a.m. on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
I wouldn't say they are ever going to be best friends.
President Trump on Fox and Friends the morning after meeting with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky following his summit in Alaska with Russian leader Vladimir Putin.
We're setting up a meeting. I sort of set it up with Putin and Zelensky And, they're the ones that have to call the shots.
Now, the Wall Street Journal reports Zelensky is said to be considering some proportional land swaps as part of a peace agreement to stop the war in exchange for security guarantees. The president, Zelensky, and European leaders all discussed at the White House yesterday.
There'll be some form of security. It can't be NATO because that's just not something that would ever happen. They couldn't do that.
Now, the president also referenced his Washington, D.C. crime crackdown.
I've made Washington, D.C. just an incredible place. In literally 4 days, I have friends that say they're going out to dinner.
Attorney General Pam Bondi just announced on a post on X another 52 arrests last night as 6 Republican-led states send more National Guard soldiers as city leaders push back, saying violent crime statistics show a big decline this year and last. Air Canada will soon be back in the air, planning to resume flights tonight after the Flight Attendants Union, in a tentative agreement with the airline early this morning, ended a 4-day strike that grounded planes, affecting about 500,000 Air Canada passengers. Hurricane Erin is weakened slightly down to a Category 2, but it's forecast to get bigger. So even though Erin's on track to move away from the U.S., Fox meteorologist Janice Dean says it'll still cause trouble.
Strong rip currents, huge waves. It's going to be, really dangerous to go out in the water along the East Coast over the next few days. Because of this system, we have coastal flood advisories as well.
There is a storm surge watch now for the North Carolina Outer Banks area. There have already been mandatory evacuations there. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It's 72 degrees in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Bob Stevenson. Well, it's day number 2 for most kids in Chicagoland area schools. Parents at Whitney Young High School were notified yesterday after a gun was discovered during early screening. Principal Ricky Harris said the weapon was immediately secured before entering the building. No threats were made. Police and CPS safety officials are investigating, and additional security was provided during dismissal. Harris assured families the school is prioritizing both safety and students' emotional well-being. Construction is officially underway on O'Hare's $8.2 billion expansion. Crews broke ground on the new Concourse D, which will add 19 gates and a massive atrium by 2028. The project's part of a broader overhaul, including a new global terminal and more concourses. City leaders call it key to modernizing one of Chicago's biggest economic engines. Joliet police say a mother fatally shot a suspected home intruder Friday night. Officers responded to Hadrian Drive about 10:30, where investigators say the woman heard someone break in. She grabbed her baby and hid in a closet. When the suspect forced his way into the bedroom, she fired, hitting him in the head. The Chicago Bears are pressing lawmakers to approve tax breaks that would let them begin building a new dome stadium in Arlington Heights this year. The team's lease at Soldier Field runs through 2033, but they say the move is needed sooner. Legislators may demand the Bears help fund schools, transit, or even upkeep at Soldier Field in exchange. Weeks after July's torrential rains flooded parts of Chicago, FEMA teams joined city, county, and state officials in Garfield Ridge this week to survey storm damage, all part of a preliminary assessment that's needed before the state can request federal disaster aid. This news is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it is possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, brought to you by Signature Bank.
I'm Liz Clayman, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Home Depot is reporting a mixed quarter. Though earnings and revenue were weaker than Wall Street forecasts, sales rose 1% in the quarter. Its customers were shopping less frequently. When they did shop at Home Depot, they were spending more. Home Depot previously did not plan to raise prices because of tariffs, but now Chief Financial Officer Richard McPhail says there will be some modest price movement for some categories. Home Depot shares are narrowly lower. Air Canada will start resuming flights this evening. The flight attendant strike is over after a settlement through a mediator. Tesla has started taking orders for its new, larger 6-seat Model YL in China. The starting price over $47,000. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola. Invested in you.
Hugh Hewitt sees their true colors.
I think this Texas story is so indicative of the dire straits in which Democrats have fallen. I hope the voters in Texas remember when you need them the most, Democrats will run away. That's what happened in North Carolina, by the way, in the floods under Joe Biden. That's what happened in Ohio and East Palestine. That's what happens whenever disasters happen and Democrats are in charge. They run away.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Why don't we do one of those one-day bathroom remodels?
Well, because I don't want a generic bathroom that looks like it belongs at a campsite.
Fair. I'd love something that fits us. A bigger shower, safety grab bars, better lighting, heated floors.
Let's go with Forever Remodeling. There's no templates. Every design is unique and exactly what we want.
At Forever Remodeling, no two bathrooms are ever the same. Visit Forever Remodeling today at foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com. And tell them AM 560 sent you.
Hey, heard you're getting ready to move.
We just listed our house on the market.
Just make sure you have the right attorney.
Doesn't the real estate agent take care of all that?
They stay involved, but you want to make sure you have a great lawyer that's negotiating the terms, helping resolve inspection items, clearing up title issues, preparing the deed and other documents, and attending the closing.
The attorneys at Nauman & Associates in Elk Grove Village have decades of experience handling real estate transactions every day all over Chicagoland. NALawGroup.com.
Summer is all about making memories, right? Backyard barbecues, road trips, maybe finally getting around to that hiking trail you've been eyeballing. But if you're living with pain, those future memories can be stolen from you. So here's a thought. Call 1-800-4RELIEF and try Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free daily supplement designed to help your body fight pain. It's a doctor-developed formula made from natural ingredients. Best part? Relief Factor doesn't mask pain. It helps reduce or even eliminate it for good. Whether it's kayaking, running around with the little ones, or just chilling in a hammock, Relief Factor can help you feel better, move better, and do more of the things you love all summer long. So if you're ready to reclaim your summer, head over to ReliefFactor.com or give them a call at 1-800-4RELIEF. Do it now and get their 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic as service of quick delivery service. Edens inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, 18 minutes. A 28-minute travel time on the Edens outbound Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound O'Hare to Burn Interchange, 68 minutes. A 51-minute drive time on the Kennedy outbound Burn Interchange to O'Hare. Eisenhower inbound Jane Addams to Old Post Office, you're looking at 74 minutes. A 56-minute drive time on the Eisenhower outbound Old Post Office to Jane Addams. 67 minutes on the Stevenson inbound, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. On the Stevenson outbound, Lakeshore Drive to 355, 26 minutes. Dan Ryan inbound, 95th to Burn Interchange, 37 minutes. Make quick delivery service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today, expect a morning thunderstorm in some areas, then remaining humid with a mix of clouds and sun. The high will reach 80. Tonight will be mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 68. Tomorrow, anticipate more humidity with clouds giving way to sunshine and a high temperature of 78. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and President Trump yesterday taking questions from the press after his sit-down with Zelensky, as well as European leaders. And he was asked about something he started to talk about again, which is the administration of elections in this country and the ubiquity of mail-in balloting, something he is not a fan of, as he so explained.
Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them, because of what's happened, massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want change are the machines. For all of the money they spend, it's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots. And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else. We would get secure elections. We'd get much faster results. The machines, I mean, they say we're going to have the results in 2 weeks. With paper ballots, you have the results that night. Most people, many countries use paper ballots. It's the most secure form. So between paper ballots, very, very important, paper ballots, and I think maybe even more important, the mail-in voting. We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud.
Ending mail-in voting, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line, something you support? An end to mail-in voting. Now, a couple things there. One is, no, we're not the only country that allows for mail-in voting. And it varies country to country, just as it varies jurisdiction to jurisdiction, state by state in this country. There's about 36 countries that have mail-in balloting of some form or another. He's right, though, about paper balloting being used in most of the rest of the world. And when there's one other matter. I mean, the executive order, depending on what it says, is all well and good. But, of course, Article 1, Section 4 of the Constitution delegates the administration of elections, time, place, manner, at least, not qualifications, but time, place, manner, to the states and state legislatures. So what you would need here, I think, if you wanted to make a change with respect to federal offices, you would need congressional action. Again, I'll withhold judgment until I see the executive order he mentioned is being drafted, but if you want to do something material, it's going to require congressional action. It's not going to work just with an executive order. But more to the point, it's the general conversation that he drives by raising the specter of mail-in balloting. And even not necessarily eliminating it altogether, but reining it in. Things like drop boxes can be problematic. If you're opposed to ballot stuffing. I think some folks in Hamtramck, Michigan, just recently found that out. Yeah. Hamtramck is, about a decade ago, became the first Muslim-majority town in this country. And 3 of the Well, actually, 2 of the 6 members of the Hamtramck City Council have been indicted and charged with fraud. Fraud charges, including allegations of forging absentee ballot applications. Michigan State Police have video evidence of at least one council member in a car at a drop box, stuffing said drop box. The Detroit Local 4 is on the story. Here's their reporting.
New video obtained by Local 4 shows a black pickup truck pulling up outside Hamtramck City Hall in the middle of the night, just days before the primary election. All of a sudden, the lights turn on inside the truck. That's when you spot 3 men inside, including what appears to be Council Member Abu Musa in the back seat, the same council member who is seeking re-election right now. The video then shows the driver getting out and stuffing absentee ballots into the drop box. The only problem? They don't all fit. He then starts pushing them in before reaching for 2 more stacks. The whole time looking around to see if anyone is watching. After about 2 minutes, the group drives away. And get this, Local 4 found that it happened again, only 4 days later. This time, a different car pulling up with what appears to be the same council member in the passenger seat. He then starts handing bundles of ballots to the driver, dropping off 3 large stacks. City election results show Musa received 1,129 votes during the primary, making him the top contender for city council in November. Michigan State Police confirmed the videos are part of an ongoing investigation. It all comes just days after 2 Hamtramck City Council members were charged with election fraud in connection to the 20.
Somebody's going to have to tell Local 4 that election fraud is a fiction. It doesn't happen. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I know. I'll spare the leftists listening. There's nothing systemic. There's no systemic fraud. No, there's just half of the city council of Hamtramck, Michigan, that is under indictment or investigation for election fraud. But that it only happened. That's an isolated one-off. And I know, and then the Heritage Foundation has a whole database of all of these isolated incidents that, don't amount to anything that anybody could legitimately call systemic, the same way that incidents of racial animus don't amount to anything that anyone legitimately calls systemic, but they're material. They matter. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. I mean, there's another whole issue with some of these communities that are run by identitarian separatists. Mogadishu, Minnesota is about to be another one. There's some suburbs in Chicago that are moving in the direction of fitting that description as well. And then what happens in these communities where maybe the idea of free and fair elections is a concept that is not embraced. That's sort of a secondary issue. We can go there if you want, but focus here is on reining in, basically perennial ballot, perennial voting. Just as this sort of perpetual election cycle turns into perpetual voting. Even if you believe in excused mail-in balloting, excused absentee ballot voting, which I'm open-minded to. It needs to be tightened up, doesn't it? All of this early voting based on just convenience. Text from 630. Mail-in ballots will remain because Americans are too lazy to get up and go vote for the most part. This is a country of whatever is easiest. That's why Pritzker is in charge. Yeah, well, some places, that's certainly true. Ron, Southside. Hey, Ron.
Person, who's been voting 50 years, never missed any election. And actually, election has always been special to me. I would take off work if I had, vacation time, go out to breakfast. So that's me.
Yeah.
But then as a society that we have to accept is getting a little old. About 2 weeks ago, I think I had a situation with arthritis and for about 4 or 5 days. Couldn't get out the house. Now, what if that was an election, and I couldn't get out. So I like what you said. There has to be some provisions. Certainly there are irregularities going on and there's fraud, but to just totally eliminate it, no, Dan, there's, like I said, too many people that have disabilities, handicaps, just can't, the mobility.
Totally, 100%.
Right.
Thanks for the call, Ron. Yeah. And Ron, you'll be voting for 50 years after you're gone in Cook County, so you have that to look forward to. But of course. I mean, that we're always going to have some mail-in ballot voting because we're going to have military serving overseas that have to mail in their ballots, for example. So, I mean, I think everybody is willing to be reasonable and make sensible accommodations for people that are good faith voting absentee because of a physical disability or even just being out of town and providing a window. I'm fine. Not trying to disenfranchise anybody. But this, 6 weeks of mail-in, of early voting combined with drop boxes and no signature verification and no ID. And I mean, that's essentially what Trump is getting at. And that's what we're all getting at when we're talking about just tightening up the elections and reducing the opportunities for fraud. That's it. Nobody's trying to disenfranchise anybody. Margot in Burridge.
Okay, here's where you're wrong, Dan.
All right.
You know how many ballots we now get as of since 2005, how many ballots come from overseas, not including military and the embassies? Mail-in ballots, 15 million. We're getting 15 million. We don't know who they are. We don't know if they're even American, and we have got to stop that. That is wholesale theft of our elections. And that's been going on for almost 20 years now, according to an election expert that I know. So she's seen it. She's seen it happen.
Well, that's okay. I mean, that's a fair point. If they're, in terms of the verification of the ballots coming in from overseas, just as anywhere else. But I mean, you're still going to provide for military to vote, from military serving overseas to vote. So
right.
that's going to happen. So then it's a matter of just making sure that you have verification systems in place.
Right. But up until 2005, there was none of that. There was only the military and the embassy people. That was it. And then it started growing, and it's grown to 15 million. And that has got to be stopped. I don't think those people, whatever they are, whoever they are, I don't think they should be voting. If they're living overseas long term, well, have a good time there. Become a citizen there. I don't believe in dual citizenship either. I think we should you're either American or you're not American. Make a choice. And don't vote if you're not.
All right. Thanks for the call, Margot. Appreciate it. Deborah in Arlington Heights.
Hey, Dan. I think it should be reined in. If you go back to 2020 with the election and COVID, I can't tell you the number of pieces of mail that I didn't receive or things that I sent never got there. The mail wouldn't even be, the guy would be coming like at 8 o'clock at night sometimes to deliver the mail. I'm serious. And, some days we wouldn't even get mail. And it's like, what's happening with this? So that was a prime example of, okay, you're doing this mass mail-in. It's like ripe for fraud with the drop-off boxes like you mentioned. I think it should definitely be reined in.
Thanks for the call, Deborah. Text from 708, government picture ID, if not signed ballot, picture on ballot, and fingerprints on ballot. Okay. Remember when it was called absentee voting? Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's sort of what I'm getting at, getting back to like true absentee ballot voting, as opposed to early voting, mail-in ballot voting, right? Which is just, that just reeks of, it's just for convenience rather than any sort of accommodation that needs to be made. Verlon, Michigan.
How's it going, Dan? We would all love it to go back to the early 80s and previous, when it was one-day voting, and people were patriotic. But once you give a person a privilege, it's too hard to take it away. And this executive order is going to be shot down because, just like you said earlier, it's all left up to the states. And you can't defund it federally. It's mandatory that they get the money to run their elections. Same thing with his executive order for purging the illegal aliens from the census. It's going to get shot down because the Constitution says all persons must be counted, and we know that they get IDs and they vote illegally in these cities, in these Democrat cities. So and they say, especially because they pay taxes. That says it in the Constitution as well. Especially if they pay taxes, they have to be counted.
I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I disagree with your constitutional interpretation with respect to the census. I mean, you're right, and I've already said it. You're agreeing with me with respect to the administration of elections. But thanks for the call, Verlon. I mean, what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not talking about sort of a wholesale change. I'm talking about something akin to what Georgia did. You know, when it was Jim Crow 2.0, because of course the hysterics ensue. I'm talking about something that is reasonable, where you still have, even if you want to take baby steps, although you're going to get Jim Crow 2.0 regardless of what you do, whether it's a marginal reform or it's a major one. So you might as well stake out a major one like Trump is and then work your way back to some common sense exceptions like we were talking about with Ron on the South Side for people that have mobility issues. As I said, even some convenience factors I'm open-minded to. I know I'm going to be out of town, and so I'm going to vote absentee. I'm going to be, whether it's for vacation or work, but just excused absentee voting, not mail-in ballot, not I'm someone waiting to be harvested by one party or another for their mail-in ballot program. I want to be stuffed in a ballot box just like the residents of Hamtramck, in a drop box, I should say. But even what Georgia did, which is you tightened up the early voting period, you reduced it a little bit, you maybe extend hours at the back end, you include Saturdays for where it's more convenient for people not working as much on the weekends, clearly, as during the week. Just like sensible things that are accommodating, rational, that have a rational basis for accommodation, but otherwise reduce the opportunities for bad actors to commit bad acts. That's where I'm trying to get to. Jack, Northwest Indiana.
Guys, in order to restore confidence in the system, we need to go way back to where it's by exception and not the rule, because right now there's no confidence in the system, regardless of who wins on either side. And the only way you do that, restoring confidence, is by limiting the time frame you can vote, no more 24/7, 365, and the manner in which you vote. Get your butt out of bed and go to the poll and vote on the day that everyone else does.
Thanks for the call, Jack. Maurice in Berwyn.
Yeah, I hate to disappoint the bourgeois, but employers are not giving people time off for voting anymore. So I think you have to kind of keep the mail-in voting as an option at least. Yes, and I agree that you may have to do something to modify it, but you don't get the days off anymore. I work in a field where it requires me to be at work for very long periods of time, and it requires kind of a 24-hour cycle at some points, of at least 15 to 20 hours. So people aren't able to just do it willy-nilly. This is the 1980s, guys. So you have to kind of allow this as an option. I mean, look, I understand. Well, first of all, there's a small percentage of the workforce that's working 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. and can't make an accommodation on election day. But even well, lucky them.
But no, I understand. But I concede your point, which is why I said, like, excused absentee ballot voting. I'm going to be working such that I cannot make it to the ballot on election day, and so absentee vote. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. But let's be realistic about what we're talking about here, where it is convenience for people that otherwise don't really have any basis. It's just convenience, and it's just opportunity for, both parties. The left is much better than the right still, to, have a controlled vote, to have their harvesters operating the way that apparently local city council members operate in Hamtramck, Michigan.
Well, now, of course, I disagree with that. And to the second point, and I'll hang up after this, he has to get off the machine. Come on. I mean, I just read this morning about Newsmax having to pay out, whatever, $57 million, I think. I think you're not going to fight technology. I think the machines are just going to be more accurate than going back to the hanging chad, right? So I think you can't fight technology. The future's here.
Thanks for the call, Maurice. Well, you can also just fill out a paper ballot and have it scanned, but at least you've got the paper record.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. MyPillow is offering the Classic Collection for wholesale prices. Only $19.98 for a standard MyPillow. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer the entire Classic Collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $24.98. Upgrade to king-size for only $29.98. Get the body pillows for $39.98. And the multi-use MyPillows for only $12.98. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing and receive $100 in free digital gifts when your order is $75 or more. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $19.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. That number again is 800-489-0201. Promo code LIBERTY.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, we're going to talk to American Enterprise Institute's Benjamin Zeiker about a climate lawfare and the corruption of the judiciary by these eco-supremacist NGOs. That's at 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It's 71 degrees in Chicago on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Bob Stevenson. A Chicago woman has been sentenced to 7 years in prison for a string of random stabbing attacks across the city. Prosecutors say 35-year-old Shaynella Williams carried out multiple unprovoked attacks in 2022 and 2023, injuring several strangers. One spree included assaults inside a McDonald's and on city streets. With credit for time served and good behavior, she could serve less than half her sentence. Chicago police say a 63-year-old rideshare driver was shot while carrying a passenger yesterday afternoon in the Chicago Lawn neighborhood. The driver was hit in the back but managed to drive himself to St. Bernard Hospital, where he's in good condition. His 23-year-old passenger wasn't hurt. Police say the shooter opened fire from a nearby residence before running off. No arrests have been made. Former Robbins Acting Police Chief Carl Scott pleaded guilty to battery charges yesterday. A judge sentenced him to 2 years probation, ordered anger management, and revoked his law enforcement certificate. This news is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Have you been getting high quotes for dental implants? With medical PPO insurance, it is possible to save 90% off on average. See if you qualify today at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Making smiles great again. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
The biggest AM 560 event of the year is coming to Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove on Friday, August 22nd. It's Shaunfest 2025. Join hundreds of fellow AM 560 listeners for the summer's best party. Be a part of the on-location broadcast with Sean Thompson, followed by live music, photo opportunities, food and dessert trucks, and it's all free. Registration is requested at 560theanswer.com/Shaunfest. Sponsored in part by Quick Delivery Service and by myvirago.com.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
I believe in aliens, ghosts, and UFOs, but I don't believe you.
Huh?
I'm convinced the Earth is flat and the moon landing was faked.
Okay.
But when you say Hasselus Mattress don't have no employees, well, that's just crazy talk.
It's true. Hasselus Mattress showrooms are employee-free. Give our mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Okay, sure. You probably think birds are real, too.
All I know is that our 35 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Free next-day delivery, too.
Do these mattresses come from Area 51?
We're talking big names like Sealy Posturepedic and Beautyrest.
And who's supporting your operation? The Illuminati?
If you need support, through Monday, get a free adjustable base with any new mattress.
That's what the lizard people told you to say.
Save on Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more, and get a free adjustable base through Monday at Hasselus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hasselus.com.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. Since President Trump's victory, corporate America's had a vibe shift, and it's long overdue. DEI quotas getting rolled back. Debanking facing real pushback. Companies are waking up and getting back to business. JP Morgan Chase and Citigroup say no to politicized debanking. Target and IBM are backing off DEI. Even BlackRock, the ESG poster child, is rethinking its stance on energy and opening the door to conservative engagement. This is why elections matter. But what we do after elections matters even more. DEI and ESG aren't dead, but they are reeling. So here's the call. If you're a shareholder, speak up. Push for neutrality, push for accountability, and push for a market that works for everyone, not just the activists. I'm Jerry Boyer.
Life can change so abruptly. Just ask Paul. He's a hardworking entrepreneur. He's young. He's got a young family. Suddenly, though, he develops a rare medical condition where he lost the use of both of his arms.
I could no longer drive a car, couldn't use a computer, couldn't type, couldn't use a mouse. I could not hold my son, who was about a month old.
Paul and his family were facing a mountain of medical bills, but they're so thankful that they're members of MediShare.
I think if someone asked me, like, hey, does MediShare really work? I'm living proof that it works. My 4 children are living proof that it works. My arms, which have been healed, are living proof that MediShare works. Just knowing the emotional peace of mind, knowing that our needs are going to be taken care of when we have some type of medical problem, that is such a huge blessing to us.
It could be a huge blessing to you, too. People save so much and love being part of MediShare. Call now, 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE, 833-34-BIBLE.
This hourly segment brought to you by Unleash Your Wealth with Raj Shah and Rick Borick this Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. Learn more at scwealthadvisors.com.
Taking a look at your drive in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center with traffic, a service of Discover on the Edens inbound Lake Cook to Montrose, 18 minutes. 25 minutes on the Edens outbound Montrose to Lake Cook. On the Kennedy inbound O'Hare to Burn Interchange, 59 minutes. A 62-minute drive on the Kennedy outbound Burn Interchange to O'Hare. On the Eisenhower inbound Jane Addams to Old Post Office, you're looking at 79 minutes. On the Eisenhower outbound Old Post Office to Jane Addams, 57 minutes. An hour on the Stevenson inbound 355 to Lakeshore Drive and the Stevenson outbound Lakeshore Drive to 355. You're looking at 26 minutes. A 34-minute travel time on the Dan Ryan inbound between 95th and the Burn Interchange. Guess what? Discover's accepted 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. You'd heard it right, 99%. If you don't think so, maybe it's time to face facts. You're stuck in the past. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/credit card. I'm KT. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now here's the latest forecast from QC Kinetics.
Today, expect a thunderstorm in spots early this morning. Otherwise, it'll be humid with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 80. Tonight will be mostly cloudy and humid with a low of 68. Tomorrow, anticipate humid conditions with clouds giving way to sunshine as temperatures peak at 78. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. One of the underappreciated and underreported aspects of the left's lawfare is with respect to eco-supremacy, the attack, and by extension, an attack on America's energy sector. We've tried to raise the profile on this, and more are coming to the battle. A pro-energy independence group called Power the Future sent a letter last week to AG Pam Bondi pointing to the Environmental Law Institute's Climate Judiciary Project, one of these nonprofits that's engaged in lawfare where political operatives go to continue to ply their trade from outside the government if they can't be inside. Well, it's always a bit of an outside-inside game, of course. The Power the Future organization, whistleblowing on this left-wing organization, accuses it of being engaged in behind closed-door advocacy of judges, federal judges. It's a problem. Ex parte conversation / indoctrination of our betters in robes. Power of the Future is concerned that this climate judiciary project is insinuating its views into federal judges, it boasting of having, quote, educated, unquote, approximately 2,000 judges, including federal judges, on how to approach climate litigation. Climate litigation actually seeks in part to impose federal energy rationing policy through the courts, even though policy must be addressed by the two other branches of government, so Power of the Future argues. The left-wing group named enlisted this in this campaign by hosting seminars for judges with speakers drawn exclusively from the world of plaintiffs' witnesses or historic amicus brief filers in support of the plaintiffs. It's a problem. Even though a lot of this climate lawfare isn't winding its way through the courts, it's getting hung up, properly dismissed. It doesn't mean that the sustained effort can't produce some positive results for them and some negative results for the American energy sector and Americans' quality of life by extension. And the other piece of this, too, which we'll talk about with our next guest, is some of these nonprofits, these C3s that are engaged in this climate lawfare, have connections back to and perhaps even some funding by Chinese Communist Party. Well, golly gee, I don't think the Chinese Communists are particularly interested in America's energy independence. So now you are conspiring with a foreign actor hostile to America's interests to join them in their hostility. Problem. Benjamin Zeiker is a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, where he works on energy and environmental policy. Benjamin Zeiker, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
What about this missive to Pam Bondi's office from the Power of the Future organization about ex parte communications between these anti-fossil fuel groups and federal judges?
Well, I haven't seen the letter. It's not quite clear to me what the Justice Department can do about it. Even if it were an important problem, I think it's a problem. I agree with that. I think it can be overstated. It's obviously not been very effective. The climate lawfare efforts by the environmental groups and others, almost without exception, have lost in the courts, whether at the district level or the appellate level. And at the state level, the only exception is in Honolulu, in which the Hawaii Supreme Court ruled that the Honolulu lawsuit should remain in state court, and that's being litigated now in the federal courts. I wouldn't make too much out of that. There's obviously a self-selection issue. The judges who allow themselves to be propagandized are the ones who harbor those instincts or views anyway. And And again, the lawfare campaign thus far, it's a problem. I agree with you, but it's not been very successful. And so I think that it's easy to make more of it than is justified.
Well, part of the reason some people are making something of it is because some of these judges that are bragged about by these left-wing green energy groups, 501c3s. We have talked to this judge and that judge, and now those names that were being bandied about have been scrubbed, and so now you're proud. You're very proud to have communicated with Judge XYZ on these topics, and now both you and Judge XYZ are going to deny that you've ever had any conversations. And that speaks to something, well, it gives the appearance of something nefarious. If there's no conflict of interest, if you're just consuming policy information to be a more educated jurist, then you could just say that. When you're scrubbing your names and pretending something happened something didn't happen that did happen, then it raises the specter of something else.
Right. Yeah. That again, I agree with you. That's a problem. I think the judges need to be more honest about who they're listening to and what information they're getting and from whom, et cetera, But at the same time, and if we step back and look at the larger context, it's just not been very successful. And I don't expect that to change very much as we move forward.
You in a piece that you wrote for AEI, actually I think it was The Hill, but anyway, you talked about the alliance or influence of the Chinese Communist Party with respect to some of these endeavors and some of these programs that have been set up within particular institutes. Can you provide more color on that?
Well, I talked about a hearing by Senator Cruz subcommittee on energy in which he gave an opening statement with a lot of detail on the influence of entities tied to the Chinese Communist Party in terms of funding climate lawfare and funding the foundations and the groups that engage in it. And I think he's quite right about that. He went on to argue that the efforts to influence the judges are deeply, deeply nefarious, and we need to do something about it. I'm paraphrasing his lengthy statement at that subcommittee hearing. It strikes me again that were entities tied to the Chinese Communist Party nowhere in the picture, left-wing foundations would be funding these things themselves anyway. And again, the efforts to influence the judges have not borne much fruit. So I think that climate lawfare is a huge problem, not in the context of entities tied to the Chinese Communist Party and not really in the context of influence being exerted over the thinking of federal judges. The real problem is that climate lawfare is a fundamental assault on the U.S. Constitution and in particular on the separation of powers. It's the job of Congress to set climate policies through legislation. It's not the job of judges to use deeply dubious interpretations of the Clean Air Act to give the environmental left what they want. And so that's the real problem. It's an attack on our Constitution, and it's fundamentally an attack on democratic processes in which Congress establishes policy and the executive branch enforces it. And that's the real problem. And I think Senator Cruz is right to raise those issues, but I think they're not really the fundamental problem.
Well, attended to that fundamental problem, take it one step further. Not only is it does it run afoul of the Constitution, so you say, but we're also subsidizing running afoul of the Constitution.
Right. Yeah. Particularly in the Obama and Biden administrations, and to a lesser extent the first Trump administration, federal agencies, the Energy Department, the Environmental Protection Agency, others were giving grants to various groups that turned around and filed lawsuits, and that is simply inappropriate. And I think that the Trump Trump 2 EPA is under Administrator Zeldin is doing something to stop that process.
And I assume the same thing under Walter at Energy.
Right.
Right, Chris Wright. Chris Wright.
Chris Wright at Energy. Right. There's less of that going on. Right. The Energy Department is much more focused under Secretary Wright on its job of technological advance in various energy technologies and funding research and development, and less funding of left-wing priorities, particularly in the wake of the One Beautiful, Big Beautiful Bill, which has trimmed the money tree for wind and solar power very, very considerably.
And so where is, there's some early indications from some fossil fuel company CEOs that, we're back, baby, kind of thing in the early months of the Trump administration. So where are we in terms of energy independence at this juncture?
Well, energy independence is kind of a funny phrase. I'll get back to that in a moment. I think that there has been a very welcome and decided turn toward market forces as the drivers of investment and production decisions in the energy sector is distinct from federal government mandates and subsidies and subventions and favoritism. And that's a very welcome development. Among Donald Trump's many instincts, his instincts on energy policy are really quite sound. Energy independence is kind of a funny phrase. It's not quite clear what it means. If the U.S., like the United Kingdom, let's say, produced all of its own energy, imported none, that would not insulate the U.S. economy from changes in international prices. And so it's not really quite clear what energy independence means. It's a bit of a slogan, like energy dominance. Again, is a slogan. It's not really a policy. And I would recommend we avoid that kind of sloganeering in favor of a much more focus, a much sharper focus on actual policy choices.
Well, okay, but so how would you describe where you want where we would ideally like the American energy sector to be? I mean, in terms of, more ubiquity and lower prices by extension. It's like how do people get a handle on where the energy sector is versus where we should want it to be, or is it a journey without a destination?
Yeah, ideally, what we ought to be striving for is an emphasis on market forces, market prices as the central drivers of investment and production decisions and resource allocation in the energy sector, and not government mandates and subventions and favoritism and all the rest. Market forces might result in more energy production under some conditions, and it might result in less energy production under some conditions. And it's not obvious which of those would hold over any given time period. And if we support market forces, then we accept those outcomes regardless of what they are. High prices would be good for energy producers under some conditions and bad for energy consumers under other conditions, and vice versa. And suppose for the moment that you had a very, very strong economy growing rapidly with strong energy demands. Prices would be high, and consumers would be better off because of the strong economy. So I think that, again, using slogans is not very fruitful in terms of thinking clearly about policy options.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, I like that explanation. Benjamin Zeiker, Senior Fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, where he works on energy and environmental policy. Benjamin Zeiker, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call CrossCom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, CrossCom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with CrossCom.
Call CrossCom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call CrossCom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. CrossCom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call CrossCom.
CrossCom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with CrossCom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrossComPublicAdjusters.com.
Making the switch to new IT services and support company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs every working day, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts and proud new sponsor of Chicago's Morning Answer. These are the guys you want to talk to. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for more than 30 years from their headquarters in the West Loop. Local and in tune with Chicago businesses, that's Access One. Whether it's voice over IP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you and your business. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run. A trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups, to manufacturers. They'll make the switch for you easier than you think, so call them today to discuss your business needs and tell them I sent you when you do. Call 1-800-804-8333. That's 1-800-804-8333. Or visit accessoneinc.com. That website again, accessone, O-N-E, accessoneinc.com. Access One, tech made personal locally.
Salem News Channel is America's fastest growing conservative TV network.
It's an absolute crazy day.
Home to the largest lineup of free speech champions anywhere. Delivering in-depth insight and unapologetic opinion on today's biggest news stories.
Americans aren't going to put up with this anymore.
SNC brings you the news that matters, told with integrity and clarity. Watch Salem News Channel free 24/7 on your television. Stream now on Pluto TV.
Hey, this is Sean Thompson. You know, there's an old joke about Uncle Sam's tax short form. The first line says, "How much did you make?" The next line says, "Send it in." Sadly, that's not funny at all for honest people who pay taxes. But that's exactly what a lot of people do in their retirement. They take money out of their 401k and their IRA, and they send it into the IRS. Tom Fortino of Alpha Wealth Group believes there's a better plan for your retirement than Uncle Sam's plan of send it in. What if your current plan includes thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes and fees? What if you're headed for higher Medicare payments, lower Social Security checks? What if the savings you may realize allows you to retire even earlier? Wouldn't you want to know all of that right now? Call Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group and find out today. Call 630-864-6711. The number again, 630-864-6711. You can also visit alphawealthgroup.com to schedule your no-obligation consultation.
This is Jerry Boyer for townhall.com. Since President Trump's victory, corporate America's had a vibe shift, and it's long overdue. DEI quotas getting rolled back. Debanking facing real pushback. Companies are waking up and getting back to business. JP Morgan Chase and Citigroup say no to politicized debanking. Target and IBM are backing off DEI. Even BlackRock, the ESG poster child, is rethinking its stance on energy and opening the door to conservative engagement. This is why elections matter. But what we do after elections matters even more. DEI and ESG aren't dead, but they are reeling. So here's the call. If you're a shareholder, speak up. Push for neutrality. push for accountability, and push for a market that works for everyone, not just the activists. I'm Jerry Boyer.
AM 560, The Answer.
Some disappointing news from Spike Lee, that Colin Kaepernick docuseries you were looking forward to on ESPN, not happening.
What's going on? Is it finished? It's not coming out. It's not coming out. What do you mean? It's not coming out.
It's not coming out. So disappointing. Everybody was looking forward to that. Creative differences. It is now 9 o'clock, AM 560, WIND Chicago.
The whole thing is a mess. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. As of President Trump.